throw it off to me, Rob? Is that what you're gonna do? Oh, all right, all right. I now control the horizontal. Let me know when we're on. Oh, hello, everybody. We're back on. All right.
Got
Can
an
anybody
ad.
hear me? Can you guys hear me in the chat room?
I hear you.
Maroda, can you hear me?
You want to hear from chat just to make sure?
Looks like we're live.
All right, guys, we are back after slight wrinkles with the audio, and we're going to try this again. So let's just, we'll go through the list. I've got my list here. It may not coincide with the grid because I don't like when things jump around. So let's start off with David O'Connor. How you doing, man?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm hopefully got audio.
Yes, we can hear you fine. You have no video though. You're not video live today. What's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm in the process. I've been in the process for the last few weeks of completely pulling my studio apart and redoing everything. So I don't have my cameras all set up, and I don't even have my Coco set up. So I haven't been able to join in the game challenge yet. But hopefully,
that's okay.
Hopefully this week I'll be able to get all that remedied and maybe join in the Tetris challenge when we have Tetris.
Do you know something I don't? Yes, we will have Tetris one day. I'm not sure when, but I'm sure that will happen. Well, thank you for joining us, David. It's really glad to have you here. Next up, we got. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Next up, we got James Diffendaffer. You doing, James?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on the Mulligan episode.
Are you here to say kind things? Are you here to say kind things, kind supportive things?
Oh, well, yeah, entropy has taken place. That's all right. I have been working on setting up my development machine, my new system, and I built a version of MAME that has an MC10 with a 6303 CPU, the Hitachi version. And I'm going to, as soon as I get the video capture software installed, I'll see if I can do a video showing the difference in speed. And
MAME does MC10?
MAME does MC10.
I was not.
And it actually has pretty good emulation. There's a few things.
Common knowledge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. MAME does everything if you have the ROM. Right. And if it doesn't do it, tell them and they'll add it. Give them 5 minutes. Anyway, yeah, I've also been dumping a lot of source code for little things I've worked on over the last few years, just up on GitHub, and I'll be posting links for that. If you know where my YouTube or what you call them, my blog is. The blog has a link over there, and I'm going to have links, between everything. And if you search on my name, you can find it anyway. So I've uploaded, I don't know, about 10 things or so far, but I'm going to do a bunch more. I've been looking at a chess game for the MC10, and someone was begging for that over on Facebook, and that might have to wait. It's looking like there's not going to be something I can just compile. The compiler is the C compiler that somebody did is kind of wonky yet, and none of the code wants to compile that I tried, and I could convert something from assembly, but you know what, I need a break. So anyway, that's just some of the stuff that's been going on, and yeah.
Aside from your normal trolling, you find time to do other things.
Yeah. Oh, and it's really good to see the arcade game competition thing going on. Atari Age has been doing that for, I don't know, like a decade or so, and it always gets a lot of participation, and I'm really happy to see the Coco get the same kind of love. So
Thank you, James. That was kind of supportive talk you just gave me there. You sure? you meant
Yeah,
to
I'm
say
sorry. I tried not to, but
He must be
that?
ill.
Oh, well,
I
thank
hope
you,
you
James.
feel better soon.
yeah.
Actually, that's appreciated. Thank you. I'm glad to see that people are taking part in it as well. So now
And,
from the
and
last,
and I have witnessed Stevie get past level 1 on multiple
yes,
games.
he's blown his
I wish he'd get
reputation,
past level 1 on his own show, but that's okay.
That's his new hat doing the trick.
Here's his hat trick.
And now from the land down under, legendary game programmer Nick Marentes.
Oh, geez, the bullshit doesn't end.
It's in your contract. We have to call you that.
Oh, okay, all
You
right.
weren't supposed to tell him?
Oh, sorry. Inside baseball.
We're sorry.
Yeah. G'day, everyone. Yep, I'm 15 hours ahead, so I saw this train wreck happening already.
Oh, why didn't you
Doesn't-
warn us?
Does it end well?
I just wanted to see how you handle it.
Does it ever end? Well, thank you for being here, Nick. Really appreciate you getting up early and joining us every week.
Did you preview your game?
Not yet.
And now, a man who thanks you for your input, Mr. Ron Delvaux.
You got it. Shiny side in.
Thank you for being here. And I
It's
know
still
we've talked.
raining in Arizona.
Yes,
And
it is.
I know Jason we spoke to in one of the lost episodes, but Jason, thank you for being here.
This
Howdy.
concludes another episode
And,
of
this is not a rerun, unless you're watching later.
Oh, that's trippy.
Oh, that was
Very deep.
fancy. That was fitting.
Yeah.
The CoCoTALK and Kaleidoscope Vision.
And hello again, Mark Overhoser.
Hello there. Sorry, I wasn't expecting me. Yeah, nothing.
I know we did you
Go on,
earlier,
go
but
on.
we're just going to whip through.
No
All right,
one
be
expects
here.
the Spanish Inquisition.
Thank you.
Mr. Music Man Brian Schubring.
Hey. I'm still here, and it's a most interesting day. Let's keep it going.
It is.
Non-stop.
We will get through this kicking and screaming.
Groundhog Day.
We'll do the kicking and the fans will do the screaming.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
Our Apple employee, our token Apple employee, John Laurie.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Kind of
How are
rhetorical
you?
since I've heard it already, but I'm doing well. Thank you.
Yes. Well, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
My partner in crime on the game segment and a resident game encyclopedia, Mr. L. Curtis Boyle.
Hello, everyone.
Again.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hello again.
So I hear
More to
you-
say during the news stuff, so go ahead.
It's just an echo.
Here you've been pretty busy with work stuff, which is good.
Yeah, lots of overtime actually. So I won't be staying for the caboose segment today. I'll have to get back to work.
He has to go to the bank with the truckload of money he has, right?
Oh no, I haven't paid for any of this stuff yet. That's the problem.
Well, it is his busy season, which is January through December.
All right, now we have our backup streamer, Mr. Mark Bosley.
Hello. Just taking another crack at Doodle Bug. It won.
You have an interesting tip for us later on. Apparently, if you clear the dots, something really incredible happens.
Yeah, more dots appear.
Save it for the show.
Oh, thanks. You spoiled it for us.
Yeah, we're checking. We're going to deduct from your pay this week.
Well, it's all about fun. So I'm glad you joined us on the game challenge, Mark. Thank you. It's not a challenge. It's just for fun. Just for fun. All right. Now we have Alan Huffman.
Greetings from Des Moines, Iowa.
And how's Des Moines?
It is warming up. 51 degrees today as opposed to negative 15 last week.
Wow, that's quite a shift.
I think you're getting our weather then, because we're kind of going the same direction.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Now we have Brian Weisler.
Again.
Hello, all. Welcome to the show.
Yes. Welcome, Brian.
Brian, where is your Radio Shack located at?
Radio
No.
Shack. Unfortunately, we don't have a Radio Shack here.
Behind me.
They're all gone.
Now we have a man with a 40-track mind, David Ladd.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad that we're finally rolling the train down the tracks, I think. Anyway, I'm all ready for the show.
Speaking of trains.
Here. So, yes, indeed. And I hear turn signal. Let's get this show moving.
Thank you for your continued enthusiasm through this. And now we have Gary Wilkerson. I'm so sorry for butchering your name.
Huh?
I said, I'm so sorry for butchering your name. How are you doing?
No, you're fine. You got it right.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Well,
I'm here.
He'll try to butcher it next time.
We'll butcher it next time. Okay. Well, good luck to you next time.
Gary, have you been on before?
I have. I was under Gary Neal for a while back. I had deleted that Facebook account.
Oh, bad boy, huh? Jail?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It happens.
Yep.
All right. Well,
So
thank
I'm
you for
just hanging
joining.
there and lurking mostly.
Good stuff. You can join us more often. We welcome more people, and the more people we have, the funner it is. So
All right.
thank
Will
you.
do.
And finally, on my list, we have Mr. Grant Litty.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Finally getting over the coronavirus. I'm getting over the coronavirus, and the government has let me out of 14-day quarantine now. So I'm
Well,
out in the public.
congratulations. You just caused this episode to be demonetized.
No,
Oh,
seriously,
man.
I'm getting over the bronchitis, but I'm doing much better though. Thanks.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, and that's all I have for the participants. So now we will go on to talk about CoCoFEST.
That was a record panel introduction, 42 minutes.
Yes.
Record
And
breaking.
3 attempts.
Third time's the charm.
That's right. All right, so Ron,
I'm not
Ron,
going
Rob,
to
you can take over.
CoCoFest.
No, Rob, you
will
taking over, or am I continuing on?
No, I'm not taking over. I'm just
Not
saying
you,
I'm not.
Ron.
I'm not going to
Rob.
be at CoCoFest. I will have. I have CoCoFest here every day of the year. So
You're not coming up for the 40th anniversary, Ron?
no, I'm going to
Oh,
have big
sorry to hear
birthday candles right here at home.
Well, I've
Yep.
been hearing the planning continuing on in Discord this week with Friday night dinner and people getting tables, and it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic time. So who all here is going?
I am.
I'm going.
I'll be there.
Oh, I'm going.
I'm going to be there.
And who
I'll
has
be there.
Who has the tables reserved?
Oh, I have
I
2
do.
tables, and I'll be continuing on the Bring Your Brother the CoCoFest program this year. And many thanks to the Thayers for continuing that last year.
We missed him last year, by the way.
Yes. So
What's wrong with this? I have 2 tables.
That's good.
No,
What's
it's
wrong
bad.
with
I'm
that?
not going.
Oh, so just a shrine?
Just checking to see if you're paying attention.
It'll just be a shrine. A shrine. Yeah. Well, so it'll be like a shrine to you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll just set up our MC10s
One
on that
little
table.
MC10 in the middle.
And then
Blank table.
What a waste of 2 tables.
Yeah.
Ron could join us virtually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That sort of thing will be going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Marco, you said you have 2 tables.
Yeah, I do. Right across from David Ladd, and right next, right behind Coco Man.
What will you be showing off?
His
Coco's, probably my Apple. Try to show networking stuff. Yay.
Yes. And David, what will you be showing off?
Oh, don't ask.
Oh, I'll have.
If it involves the word grease and or weasel, you can.
I think he broke it.
Please don't show your grease weasel in public.
David, did you break it?
Oh, I always like breaking stuff. Oh, yes. And I am going to have my Coco set up. I hope to just maybe have an updated prototype of the mouse adapter or 2, hopefully, maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know yet. It just depends on this whole Chinese PCB issue stuff that's going on currently, and yeah.
You know, you can
We'll see.
order
It's a
those in the
coronavirus
United
circuit board,
States
is it?
now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't want to pay an arm and a leg to get it done in the United States.
So we get the coronavirus version.
And Jason, I'm not sure if I asked you, will you be showing off at CoCoFEST this year?
What will I be showing off at CoCoFest? What won't I be showing off at CoCoFest? Now, I'll have the usual video stuff. I'll have some switching devices, and I'll have a couple new things to throw out there. No big deal type things, but just a couple little tidbits. And
the 1-year anniversary of Highway.
Oh, and well, that my brother will be showing that off, I would assume. But there'll be a Nightmare Highway presence. So.
Does Ken have a table, or will he be? Sharing
We have 2 tables, so we'll be sharing 2 tables.
Nice.
That's why it is listed as Coco Man / Ken can make it for those 2 tables, so you'll be able to find us.
Little brotherly,
Ken make it.
brotherly love there. It's nice.
We should bring up the map at some point here, room map, and where people are at.
When you said people missed him last year, I'm like, I saw him last year, but then again, he was on. I stopped by on the way through. He's on the way to Chicago.
I miss seeing him. Seriously, his display for your Chalice from Forest of Doom challenge was fantastic.
That was cool.
That was just like,
yeah.
That was just something that started out as a joke and just kept going. But that was funny. That was great.
And who has that right now?
I have the actual mug, the display.
The mug of douchery. I remember that.
You're just jealous, and Stevie's not here to say it.
I know. I was kind of filling in.
Yeah, you're channeling your inner Stevie.
All right. Anybody else have any? You want to talk about with CoCoFEST? Showing off anything or?
Well, we plan on showing off Ease of Use Beta 5 once I can get back onto it here before the fest and after work dies down a bit. So I've got basically one last program to fix up enough to release it. So once I get to that.
Listen, the last fest, there used to be something to touch. Will there be something this year?
It's David Ladd's scalp.
Talking about the heron replacement.
Yes, is there a heron replacement, or they touch the boomerang, or stand on the wet spot and touch the boomerang and see what happens?
And get electric shock.
Nothing.
I'm not familiar with the new hotel myself, so I couldn't tell you.
Is it going to be an elevator to get stuck in? That's the big question.
Grant's been there before.
We've heard there is one, but you probably don't need to use it, so probably not, unfortunately. Did I say that out loud?
So when are you guys planning to start arriving?
Friday
morning. I will be arriving Friday night, but I will have to leave Sunday early evening because I got a business trip to Pennsylvania to make right afterwards. I have a meeting on Monday.
Well, you're halfway there.
I'll be arriving.
Actually, I'm about 3/4 of the way there from here, so
I'll be about Friday afternoon around 3, maybe a little sooner.
There you go. Yeah, I'll be arriving Friday. Sometime Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be arriving Friday morning.
I'll be there Friday, leaving Monday.
Oh, you stay until Monday. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So are you breaking up?
You're breaking up.
You're falling into the matrix there.
Grant.
Probably Friday afternoon-ish. Just depends on what time Ken and I leave the Toledo area and head out that way. But probably want to meet Grant for lunch at Rack's would be my guess. So we probably want to try to get out there by lunchtime. There's a Rack's roast beef restaurant in Joliet, Illinois, and for the folks who aren't familiar with that was a big thing. I don't know, 20 plus years ago. It was a kind of a better version of Arby's, and there's just a few left now. And I do try to seek them out when I can find one. And there happens to be only one in the whole state of Illinois, and it's in Joliet.
Every time I hear those two words put together, I think of the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, and I will say, Jason, it was very good. I was very surprised.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a little out of my way, but not that far out of the way.
Yeah, I was thinking, how many releases are there going to be on this new show, this new CoCoFEST? We're going to have some games show up, and is there any hardware coming?
Are you talking like new product releases?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard rumors of
It's going to be quite a few, I think.
Yeah, from what I've heard, there's going to be quite a few, and there's also a few that people want to keep under wraps until they actually happen, so you're not going to hear about it until the show.
But there should be some, so things to look forward to.
The Gimme X's and Coco, new Coco clones maybe from Ed Snyder. I don't know. Is he going to have some of them?
Ed's never come to a show. I don't think he will come. So if he does do a release around that time, it'll be independent of the show itself.
Yeah, I just thought somebody else might be there with his wares or something like that. But maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody reproduce the stickers that go over the hole where you're where it says "Do not open, avoid your warranty." Wouldn't that be cool to have new ones? And
Somebody
has done that.
I thought Richard Robieski has a bunch of those.
Does he?
I was going to say that they probably wouldn't be difficult to reproduce.
Yeah, they're pretty
I've got-
simple.
I've got some here, some that Carlos produced, and they're good.
Oh, cool.
Like for example, Nick Morenti's. I think your Gunstar is going to be ready by the fest, correct?
Yes, well, it'll be ready before actually. I'll be announcing in about 3 weeks.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll have some people demoing it off at the fest and have people able to try it.
Yeah. So
Are you going to have a Stevie Stroh version?
Yeah, that's the wimp mode.
Only level 1.
That's wimp mode, right? Wimp mode.
No, I need something lower, I think, than that. So.
I don't know. I think we have to reassess Stevie because he's been doing pretty good on these GameON challenge spotlights. So I don't know.
No, his reputation.
He's got that fake beard and that hat now, so he's got all these props to help him.
We just need to get Nick Marentes up here and we'll have to present it directly to Stevie.
Yeah, a little bit difficult.
I know we're definitely looking forward to Gunstar. It's definitely going to push the envelope of the Coco 3.
Yeah, I'm hoping Day Your 3 will be ready by then too. That'd be nice. Another nice one to demo at the show.
Yeah.
Though I know Chet's not making it up either, unless there's a last minute change.
And is that outhouse being worked on too, or
outhouse?
Which one?
I don't know. There looks like
somebody. Jim
making
Gary's. He's already got a demo video up. I'll be showing that off in GameON here later. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
cool.
Oh, and Ken is mentioning in chat that there will be a special edition of Nightmare Highway available at CoCoFest with an added feature.
Ooh.
Like instead of couches?
Oh, what is it? He said it's the with a physical edition with bonus feature, and it sure is a bonus feature because I've tested it. It works. And the mug display is sitting in the garage gathering dust, I guess minus the electronics.
The mug display.
Yeah, the chalice. Or, well,
the chalice of douchery.
Yeah, well, that's what you call it, but
well, isn't there something else we can put in there?
Named after Sir Alex Douchery.
Yeah.
Sir Alex Douche.
Douche. Douche. Sounds French.
Yes.
Bonnet de douche.
Oh, is that Sarah I hear in the background?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hi, Sarah. All right.
I don't think she can hear you.
Oh, it's all right.
All right, Nick, you want to take a commercial break and we'll come back with news and GameON and acquisitions and more.
Oh,
all right.
We'll be right back.
We'll return after these announcements.
A whole new approach. Faster than ever. A window to a world of possibilities. Clear your expectations. Clear your hesitation. Just hit clear.
Download EOU today at lcurtisboyle.com.
Hi everybody, this is Siri, Apple's personal assistant and beatbox professional. You're watching CoCoTALK with the original gamer, Stevie Stroh.
You're off, Siri. I was here first.
What's going on, everybody? Stevie Stroh, and I want to say thank you for continuing to watch and listen to CoCoTALK. We love doing this show. We think we put together a pretty good show for you, but this show could be better with your help. So if you would like to send a feedback, a comment, a suggestion, a show topic, or maybe even your own little segment or bumper, then send it to us via email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live. This show would be nothing without you. Love to hear from you.
This is Ken Reichert, author of Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
And you're experiencing CoCoTALK?
As you start your journey to CoCoFEST, you notice the road ahead is littered with rogue furniture. You realize you are driving on the Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
The game for the Tandy Color Computer 1, 2, and 3. Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
Stunning low-resolution visuals. Digital to analog converted sound. 100% machine language and basic. What are they saying about Nightmare Highway?
Nightmare Highway.
Steve B. York says, of all the games released this year, this is one of them. L. Kurt S. Boyle says, this will not be on my site. Nick Marionette says, crikey, look at the size of that crock. Get your complimentary copy of Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
At cancanmakeit.com. If you got it for free, you paid too much.
Hey there, it's Andrew here with the Tandy Speech and Sound cartridge that I won from CoCoTALK Live. So next time, make sure to tune in. It may change your life.
Let the Radio Shack TRS-80 put the world of color computing into your home. Instant loading program packs turn any color TV into an exciting game arcade. And there's more. The color computer is an educational aid, a home management tool, and up-to-the-minute electronic information service. The programmable, expandable TRS-80 color computer from $399 only at Radio Shack, the biggest name in little computers.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
Hey, am I in a quiet room? It got quiet.
No, we are back. We are just kind of... All right, so welcome back.
And whenever you're ready for news, I can start the intro. Nicholas
All right.
and Curtis.
Yes, let's
Go ahead.
over to Curtis for news.
Let's do it.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
I still want my own personal Muppet to actually do all of this news segment stuff, but
Okay.
We'll contact Jim Henson.
And I am going to stop sharing system sound and take it away, Curtis and Nick.
Okie dokie. Can everybody see that?
Crickets. Crickets.
Certainly can.
We're getting going.
Okay, this first one here, and I'll get John Lowry to kind of chime in on it. Brian Palmer posted up a video earlier done by, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Geronimus Vanden, which is a video that was showing that an MC10 will, when running a loop, doing a peak of memory location 2 after doing a poke 00, and I can't remember, I think that's some internal 6803 stuff, will react to your hand moving close to the MC10 itself, kind of like a theremin musical instrument does, where you move your hand and you get that spacey sound from the 50s and 60s movies. So this is the original video here that kind of shows it, and I'll play. It's only 33 seconds, and then we'll follow up with John. So it's almost proximity detecting his hand.
Yeah, there's a few lines on the MC10 that aren't aren't
Very well shielded.
A bit of main hum being
or
picked
whatever
up there.
the bus.
And anyway, John did a video too, and he actually duplicated it, and it actually worked on his case too. So, John, you want to say exactly what you found when you did it, and then if James, anybody else wants to chime in as to why this is happening.
Yeah, it's I saw that and I thought, I own an MC10, so I got to test this, and so yeah, I got the spooky action at a distance. And there's the program. It's pretty simple. It's just printing a peak of memory location 2 after poking 0,0, and I noticed I had to kind of put my hand a little closer to get it to trigger. Virtually touching the unit, because it seemed like his hand was up a bit and it was triggering it. I had to seem to go a bit closer. And the MC10 does have one heck of a shield on it that's soldered on. So if it were removed, it would probably be even more pronounced. But yeah, I was just really intrigued by that. And, it's not unusual. The MC10, if you look inside of an MC10, it's kind of, it's like Bodge Wire City, and it really literally is. I mean, I had a problem with my MC10, and it was just me being an idiot and not having the TV hooked up to the RF. I had it hooked up to the composite. I had composite. It was plugged into composite instead of RF. And so I thought there was something wrong with the MC10. It turned out there was nothing wrong with it. So I ended up taking the whole thing apart, busting the seal and everything on a version MC10. And when I was in there, I was really kind of surprised that a completely unmodified MC10 is, has like just mountains of bodge wires and one chip piggybacked onto another. It's kind of surprising how they just kind of got to a certain point very early in the development of it and said, okay, we got a product, and went to market with it. So I'm not really surprised that there's the sort of interference with your hand. I mean, it's really back in those days too. You got to remember, in the earliest days of computers, there wasn't a lot of requirements, FCC requirements, like there are now.
Yeah, the Model 1 famously suffered from that and actually created the FCC because of some of the interference it was doing.
Yeah, a guy.
The regulation, I should say, not the FCC itself.
There was a guy that actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
Did you ever think that you could do this on a Coco?
It could be, maybe it's a possibility it could be done on a Coco. I doubt that the Cocos and I think other computers were probably a little bit more well shielded, that you wouldn't be able to do something that's on an actual Coco.
What about a Coco 1? More of a chance?
Maybe that's a much better chance, yeah, because the Coco 1 was developed, especially an early board version of a Coco 1 might do it, possibly, because it was just so, the earlier the development, the more, like Curtis was saying, the Model 1. There was a guy that actually wrote a program for the Model 1 that you would bring a radio nearby and just kind of tune until you could hear it. And he would literally, just running various machine language loops would produce different frequencies of sound. And so he just worked out the various frequencies to get the 12 notes of the chromatic scale, and was able to do music with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool though. If you got an MC10, it definitely works.
Now, James Diffendaffer, you're our local MC10 expert. The two locations that are being used, are those internal 6803 registers, or what exactly is that doing?
If it's in the bottom
0 page, those
like,
are like
it's
like
location
the
0 and 2, if
12
that helps.
addresses or whatever, and 0 is the 0 and 01 hex are data direction registers, so they're probably setting some internal port to read, and then they're just polling it. And if you look at the MC10 design, even though there's shielding like over the memory and some of that stuff, there's a lot of stuff still exposed. And if they're reading, I'd have to look up what bits and everything they're using. But if they're reading from something like the maybe the cassette interface or the serial port or oh geez, even
Well, I know
even
the memory locations are doing. They poked into 0, which it says
Right.
is a data direction register, and then they peaked 2.
Yeah,
That helps.
yeah. I'd have to look it up, but data IO port 1, and I'd have to look at it might actually be the keyboard, but I don't
That'd
think
make sense.
But,
Yeah, it would.
they didn't the bus on that. If you've ever looked at most of the computer designs, you know they have like a terminator, like you do with the disk drives. Remember, you had to have the resistors.
Terminating resistor, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have that tying it to ground. So if you don't have some sort of resistant, thing draining it to ground, and you pass your hand over it, you can induce a current onto some stuff. And then
Yeah,
that's
sure
what-
enough. Sure enough, you're right. 0 and 1 are the data direction registers. So memory location 0, they're poking 0 into data direction register for the keyboard lines, and memory location 2 is the keyboard output lines.
Yeah.
So that's
'cause
exactly what they're into.
even though they're shielding over the circuit, keep in mind that the keyboard has no shielding.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're inducing the
So they
current
should-
probably in the keyboard and getting
Yeah,
it to trigger.
and the keyboard is hooked up to an IO port, and there's it's they don't have any grounds on it, so tied low.
So it's kind of like a keyboard proximity detector at this point.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yes, it is, and that also implies that you could get garbage input from the keyboard.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
enough typing mistakes on my own. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well,
So there's probably a
you
good
got to
chance that it'll
remember
work.
that. What you got to
Sorry,
remember
is it-
when you read the keyboard, they're pulling lines high, and then they're testing for which lines are high. So your chances of an error are reduced a lot, but still, it's a cheap design.
All the tracks in the keyboard itself are probably acting as an antenna.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. There's
There's
no
probably a
shielding
pretty
there.
good chance then that it'll work on an early Coco one with a chiclet keyboard. Then I'll have to try it on mine. I've got one here with a chiclet keyboard.
Well,
and
if they
also
put-
my
if-
original Coco one is a e-board too, so it's an earlier one with wires everywhere. So give it a
I,
try out and see what it does.
all the,
The pokes would be
wires
different.
Yeah, the wires, the bodge job on inside, that's the address decoding.
Yeah.
And the whole reason they never fixed that is it would have cost to produce a second revision of the board.
Another
and
rev.
they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
It was
The,
cheaper to pay people to solder than to do a new board.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not
Yeah, yeah.
unusual. That's happened on a lot of products, on most products.
Yeah.
Especially from those days. But the one thing I did do that I didn't do a video of was I wrote a small basic program that kind of to create like a functional use of this oddity. My Mac, I have an Apple Watch and I have a Mac, and of course it's using Wi-Fi, but the way it's designed, when I sit down at my Mac, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to touch anything. Just from me coming into proximity of my Mac with my watch will cause it to unlock. And so it says unlocking with Apple Watch. So I wrote a small basic program that used this oddity to such that when you wave your hand over the keyboard, it would say unlocked, and you wave it again and it would say locked, and you could just flip it back and forth.
Maybe if you put your head near it, it'll read your mind.
There you go. For me, it'll print out a bunch of zeros.
Fry your brain, maybe.
Yeah, give your brain cancer.
Anyway, I thought it was just a really cool effect. No, I do think one thing I wouldn't mind you trying, John, in the next week, if you have time or feel the inclination to do so, is to see if the values change depending on what side of the keyboard your hand's over. Because if it
Yeah.
makes a predictable pattern, you can make that into a joystick. Because the MC10 is famously does not have a joystick port. You could actually wave your hand over it to move left and right for a game.
The joy board.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
that's a cool idea.
I thought that'd be a pretty interesting experiment to try. I don't know if it does have that precision where it'll let you know by what peaking you're getting back as to what side of the keyboard you're on, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll tinker with it and see what kind of values it produces and see what I can come up with.
Be a
Maybe
neat,
have some
neat
for
way to
next week.
play Timberman if you could do it like that. Just waving
Yeah.
your hands on
Or
either
any
side
of the
keyboard.
1,000 Jim Gary games for that matter.
Any of the 1,000 Jim Jerry games.
Yeah.
Well, if you got to update that number, he probably released something in the amount of time we've been
Oh,
talking.
there's some of his coming up. Don't worry. Anyway, that was a really cool experiment. I'd never seen anybody do that before with an MC10. So, okay, next up. Last week we announced that Simon Hart had been working on getting online version of XWAR to be able to directly access the World of Dragon archive disk images, and he now has it actually working. So he's got a link in his Facebook post, which I'll actually kind of go through here. This is the original announcement about it. But if you go here and you pick the company that you want to try a game from, I don't know Dragon companies all that well, so let's pick one maybe I actually recognize. And then you'll get the list of the games here. Actually, it looks like he must have it temporarily offline because he had a little clicking section on the right here that said play now, and would immediately fire up the online XWAR and actually play the game.
The Dragon archive is up and down all the time. So,
okay, because I did try it earlier this week and it did work. I actually tried a couple of games that I had never seen before. So once he gets that fully working, I know they're working on cartridge support too, because right now it doesn't fully support that. I know Karen's are helping him with it. But once it's all up and running, you'll be able to play anything on the archive with the actual online archive emulator just with a browser.
It's kind of
really,
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
So, and I think I might have killed one of mine by accident here. Whoops. So I'll just skip ahead. Patrick Thomas did some graphics using the Coco 3 palette and resolution, the 320 screen, based on the game Rick Dangerous. It's not a game I'm familiar with. Are you guys familiar with that one?
On the
I've heard of it.
Is it an Amiga one?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's offering to help draw the graphics and even make the music if someone else would like to write the code. And here he gives you an example of the sprites shapes that he's created as a start. And I know, John, you said the sprite looks great. I don't know if anybody is interested in helping him, achieve the goal of getting this game ported.
That does look very much like it, maybe a little better.
So is that a platformer game or what? Like I said, I'm not familiar with the game. So
It's a platform game, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
It's going to bring up the one I killed by accident. Oh, I guess I have the wrong link. Okay, never mind. Next up, Paul Shoemaker had a pleasant surprise in a box of Coco's 2 stuff he just got this past week. He's got one of the rare Waiko Atari, and these are the Atari 2600 style connectors to Coco joystick adapter, which I do remember some of my friends having from back in the day. I don't know if any of you guys have these.
I had one for a while.
And actually did both joysticks.
Paul's here at the moment. He can tell us.
Yeah, it works. It totally works really well. I mean, I had to take it apart and clean it because it was pretty gross when I got it, but it works really well. And one thing I noticed that's different, and I'm sure there's a very good reason, I just don't know what it is, but the version that I got from John and them has a third cable that actually plugs into the cassette port, I guess, and I assume it's pulling power that way. And I don't know what that difference might be, but this one only connects to the right and left joystick port. And the more, I guess, newer version actually has a third cable that plugs in.
I don't know what that does. Anybody else know?
Is that the Neil Blanchard adapter?
That's the one. Yes, the Neil Blanchard adapter.
Yeah, this does the Sega.
Yeah, from what I understand, that's for additional button support on the Sega Genesis style adapters if the particular software is coded for that. And I believe
requires special software to handle the extra buttons.
Okay, I've only tried both of them with an old Atari 2600 joystick that I have. The other thing that's interesting, and I don't know if this is by design or if I should have expected it not to work, is this Coco that I got that came with this Wiko controller also came with the Atari 2600 paddles, you know, the ones that would just rotate back and forth. And those don't seem to do anything in either one. And it may just
So this
simply
is all
be,
digital.
and those are analog, I guess.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So and that's actually why I bid on the Coco to get the Coco, but also because I saw this in there and I wondered what it was, and it had the paddles, and I thought the paddles might work for, you know, and be neat for a game like Breakout or Arkanoid or something like that. But unfortunately, they didn't work.
Yeah.
They may, but you'd have to change the plug so it doesn't need that adapter.
Right.
So,
It wouldn't be too difficult to make a paddle type adapter or modify an Atari style, because it's a potentiometer.
Yeah, the
in
paddles
there.
would be just exactly.
It's just one axis each.
exactly
Yeah.
what the-
Somebody
what the
proposed doing
standard
like
joystick
I can't remember if the Apple has the same range, but
No,
it's easy to adapt them.
You change that with resistors. It's quite straightforward.
Yep.
Yeah. I know we discussed on the show quite a while ago, somebody was talking about doing paddles so we could do a 4-player game like Warlords or something that only needs a single axis to move your person around. And they were talking about doing that on the Coco because the ports would support that already. You just have 4 paddles hooked up, 2 in each port.
Right.
Yeah, that one also came with a high-res joystick adapter, which I thought was cool, but unfortunately the packing job wasn't very good, and so the case on it totally got smashed to bits. But the adapter is still there. So I don't know if I'm going to make a case for it, or maybe this would be a good one if because I know there from time to time there's talk of people wanting to produce these, and here's one without a case that would be pretty easy to look at and reproduce if there was a reason to do that. I know the software version, Nick, that you did works phenomenally well without needing any hardware, so maybe there's just not a reason for it anymore.
Curtis, if you check group chat, I pasted a link to the story that you missed.
Wants to learn how to 40 years later upgrade the
I'm not hearing any
in
audio.
their TRS-80
No, me
color
either.
computer.
I am.
This particular board is a revision F, and you can tell.
Now we can't hear.
Yeah,
You're
the audio was
muted,
coming
or-
through fine. I could hear it just fine.
Could you guys hear the audio?
I could.
No.
I'm not
Yeah.
hearing anything right now.
I heard it just fine.
Yep, when you were playing the video, it was coming through.
Oh, okay. Some people were hearing that and some weren't. That's weird.
Yeah.
The CoCoTALK hearing test.
Huh?
CoCoTALK Murphy's Law
right.
episode is what this is.
Left or right?
Oh, Curtis, I think you shared your wrong screen.
Where? Which one am I on?
We're looking at your script.
Text edit.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I was wondering what he was talking about.
It's all inside baseball here.
Can I rage quit like Stevie? This is just about that.
Hey, it's a whopping 0 centigrade over where you're at. Nice.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, thanks.
Ooh la la.
Okay, so this one here, Nathan Likey, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but he made a video showing how to do a 64K RAM upgrade to a Coco 1 that he acquired, including what capacitors to snip and what jumpers to move and everything else here.
40 years later, upgrade the RAM in their TRS-80 color computer.
So I won't play the whole thing, but if anybody has a Coco 1 and wants to attempt tackling the RAM upgrade themselves, here he gives all the details.
This would only work on this type, but here goes.
Which is kind of cool to have.
No,
around.
it's different between which board
Yeah,
revision.
I think
and
this
that's an
the
F.
285. That's an F board, isn't it?
He just said it's an F. Yeah.
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 Okay. Next up, and I've been looking forward to this for a while here since Boise put up that little teaser that he's going to be doing the Coco Collector Series, and he's actually got episode 0 out now. And the first one is covering the 64K Coco, which is the one that was announced on the September 1983 Rainbow, and that was the white case, melted keyboard, full-size Coco 1 with 64K. It came out. It was announced the same time as the Coco 2 was. The Coco 2s were delayed, I think, 6 or 8 weeks afterwards, from what I remember. So this is kind of covering that one. So it goes into a bit of the history, and you can see a nice cleaned up photo or video of it. Kind of goes through the history and what all the ports are, and takes it apart to show you the motherboard, which is an F board as well. Actually, the same one we were just looking at in the previous video. And kind of goes through the chips and stuff too. So he has a very good presentation on this, and I know he's got a lot of really cool, unique stuff, including that Coco 4 case prototype that he is the only one in existence that I know of. So when he gets to the episode, I'm definitely going to be watching that. But the series looks really good so far, so kudos to Boise on that.
Cool.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
And of course, the links for all of these stories are showing up in chat thanks to Mark Overholzer. So if you guys want to, view the full details of these, just grab the link and hop on over. Just wait till the news are done first, though, of course.
Wait till CoCoTALK has become to a complete stop.
Yeah. When the train derailment starts.
Keep your hands
That's happened
and
3
legs
times
inside.
Next up, we've got episode 9 of the Coco Show is officially released Wednesday. This is our first crossover episode between the two shows, where we did the Coco GameON Spotlight on Doodle Bug, so the game that they had picked this week, and they did the live streamcast of all their shows last Friday. So they actually announced it one day before we did on the live stream, but the official podcast release of the Coco Show is out now too, which covers it. Now, I did want to play the first 2 minutes of this because they actually got a present from a Coco guy in Hawaii that I thought was pretty interesting, and it's nothing to do with Doodle Bug. So I'll just play that little segment there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Coco
How's the
Show.
volume?
I'm John.
I'm Aaron.
It's okay. Aaron, we're going to be talking about Doodle Bug.
Oh, Doodle Bug.
Yeah. Now, before we get into Doodle Bug, we got a little package in the mail.
Oh.
Okay. And I've spent some time unwrapping this thing.
I can't pretend to be surprised by this.
Okay, this thing
boat has wrangled this package for
This
10
thing
minutes.
came in a massive thing. It was like 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, and like 3 inches thick. So it's very, very, it was wrapped very, very well. This came to us from the Isle of Hawaii.
Sounds like a Coleco
Our buddy
Adam.
Jonas sent this over to us.
Our good buddy.
And it is a mounted advertisement for, I believe this is a Coco 1.
Oh, look how nice.
Yeah. So
it's even got the joysticks down there and everything.
yeah, so this looks like it might have appeared in a Radio Shack catalog.
Yep, 'cause there's a
I know
page
we've seen
number
some
down there.
patent applications done
And so
this way,
Jonas
and
has
some,
actually
breakdowns of
taken
the
this,
Coco hardware.
scanned it, blown it up, and mounted it on. Well, this is fully wall mountable. So thank you so much, Jonas. That's
let's have a
super,
look at
super
that.
awesome.
Let's get a real good look at that.
I didn't realize that the MSRP on the original 4K Coco was that high, $399. So
$549 in Canada.
Terrible.
TV or anything. That's pretty old school. But yeah, that's a good chunk of change. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I will mention too, he's actually got it mounted
now,
up in
do you
his
remember
home now
later
too. He's actually
on,
showing it
as
up on the
the
wall.
Coco
so.
2 and the Coco 3 came out, did they all retail around the same amount, or did
Oh,
they?
geez, I don't remember.
You
dude.
don't remember?
You know, if you look at this though, so like computer, $400. Right, TV, that 13-inch color TV, $400. Right, then you got your cassette deck, $60. Joysticks, $24.95.
Yeah.
So the TV was as much as the computer.
Yeah.
Look at the labeling on the TV. It's even got a little Radio Shack emblem on the TV.
Does anybody still
Now,
have
that
those
would be
Radio
the
Shack
set
TVs
you'd
that they
wanna
originally
have.
sold
You
as
wanna
a
get
Coco
the
monitor?
matching TV and computer set. That's to complete your collection.
That's
Very, very
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Jonas. That's great.
So
we will definitely hang that bad
We'll
boy
mount
up.
that right on the wall. It will look just like this by the next episode.
Those
so
silver ones,
stay
the
tuned.
Chud's got one of those.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got one. I'm begging him to get that over here.
Is that?
Anyway, I thought it was kind of cool that somebody sent them that as a gift for the Coco Show. So,
Who actually?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go
Who
ahead.
actually made the TVs?
wasn't it RCA or something? I can't remember.
Was it? I don't know.
RCA made their black and whites for the
Model 1s.
Model 1.
Just
I was
wondering who
thinking
made the-
Magnavox.
That was just a case and a chassis for the Model 1. There was no electronics, just a case and a chassis. That's it.
Well, it was missing the tuner for
Or
sure,
in the
but
tube. In the tube. But other than that, there was no. All the electronics was done by Tandy for that. And if you do the math on the, adjusted for inflation, $399 in 1980 was about the equivalent of $1,200 and what does it say here? $1,249 in today's dollars. So if you were making that purchase, you're thinking about spending, like, think about today. Oh, I'm going to spend $1,250 on this new machine.
And if you wanted the monitor and the computer, then you're spending $2,500 in today's dollars. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, if you're looking at a $400 TV, yeah.
Oh, that's just a good video card and processor today.
Yeah.
That's almost 2 iPhones. That's how expensive that is. Holy cow.
That's way more than 2 iPhones, depending on which one you get.
Next up, we have, and a few of us have already played with this, which is kind of cool. Todd Wallace, who's known as Lord Dragon on Discord, he's been kind of learning 609 assembly language the last couple of months, and he's been doing various little bits, with it. Has actually got this program out now, and you can download this on Facebook, and I gave Mark the link so we can post that into the YouTube. I won't download the link because that's kind of boring to watch. Me download a zip file. But he has a little video kind of demonstrating it with a bit of explanation of it. I'll skip the explanation part and just get to the part of running it. Kind of what it does is it detects some of the base hardware of your computer, like what type of a CPU do you have? Do you have 6809 or 639? Which version of the Gimme do you have? Which version of Disk Basic are you running? So I will let him...
Oh, this is the Sysinfo one, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Load it up. And this is what it looks like. There you go. Nothing too elaborate.
So you can see
I love
there
the
it's
little
a very...
RGB, the Tandy logo on the side, the 3 colors. That's cool.
Yeah, I was just going to say the presentation's really good. I think Nick Marenti's pointed that out too.
Yeah.
If you let that run just a few seconds longer, when he resets it, an interesting thing pops up on the screen.
But I tried to make it kind of look kind of like NeoFetch does with the logo on the left, and but it detected my 6309 CPU, 2 megs of RAM. I have the newer version of the Gimme, the 1987 version, vintage or whatever, and it detected that SDC-DOS 1.6 is my disk ROM. So I hope people will try this out and let me know if there's any errors in the detection so I can maybe fix it, but it's pretty cool. And you press break to go back to basic. So now I'm going to show, sneak preview, another project I'm working on. I'm just going to show an example.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I don't know if he's got some kind of new boot ROM going on or something or what.
Well, we've got the Windows 95 boot hidden away on EOU right now too. So.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I think he's doing something similar.
Basic from the flashback.
Anyway, he does a second run here where he runs it, but he does that special command on the SDC to revert back to disk basic. So it's now showing the disk basic ROM because that's the one that's active on the SDC. So for a lot of the new people we get, are buying Cocos, from far and away on eBay, etc., or just picked one up from somebody else and doesn't really know what they have. This would be a good thing for them to download for their Coco 3 to check. The Gimme version actually does get important with certain apps that use very precise timing off the timer IRQ because it is a little bit different between the two. I mean, some of Sockmaster's programs actually auto-detect and adjust themselves accordingly, but I don't think everything does. And of course, if you want to, play Gunstar here in 3 weeks, well, you have to have the 609, so you better make darn sure you get that. Next up, James Jones has written a blog post called Towards a Basic 09 Style, which gives some tips on writing Basic 09 programs, both just general tips and also for legibility. And, oops.
That's cool.
So he kind of goes through how variables work and some of the obvious advantages between Basic 09 versus the older basics. Mentions the few commands that still require line numbers like on air go to, how case sensitivity works and does not work for variable names. Data types, why you should dim things all the time, and that's one thing I do too because it does make things a little bit more predictable for debugging. He likes doing the colon equals for assignments, and then equals is if you're doing a compare. It accept either one just fine. I personally like typing less because I'm lazy, so I always use equals no matter what.
You can do let as well, right? You can say let x equal 3.
Yeah.
That takes more memory, of course, but
I don't think anybody uses it. I've never. I don't think I remember typing let in any of my programs for a long time.
Let is more for backwards compatibility because some of the earlier 8-bits, let was required to assign, depending what version of BASIC you
That
have.
was required in the original specs for BASIC.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the Microsoft basics require it.
Nope.
I don't know.
No, they never have, to my knowledge.
And do you
Anyways,
remember
go ahead.
Apple Floating Point Basic and the Commodore 64 Basic and the Tandy Basic are all Microsoft derivatives.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, there's some actual tips and tricks there that I'd kind of forgotten about too. So if you're getting into BASIC 9 and you want to just a kind of like brief overview of a few interesting things, it's a very good. And he's been doing multiple things on BASIC 9 over on his blog here the last probably 6 months to a year. So every once in a while he'll come up with something. And if you're into BASIC 9 or wanting to learn it, it's definitely a good one to grab onto his blog and just kind of keep an eye out for when his new stuff comes out. Go ahead.
That's good timing. That's exactly what I'm. That's what I'm about to do now. I just downloaded the EOU beta 4, so I'm hopefully this week when I get all my Coco set up again, I'm going to dive in and start experimenting with BASIC 09.
Cool. Go ahead, James.
Just an FYI, the Go language uses the colon equals and the equals for the different uses, and they originally borrowed the colon equals from Pascal. And I can't remember.
Yeah,
what
Pascal's where I remember it from.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Next up, I know Dave Phillipson was in chat earlier, but that was before we started our three-peat of having this episode start. So I don't know if he's still there or not.
Three-peat.
But he's posted a preliminary wiki entry for his CoCoDev hardware, and also a video demonstrating it, which I'll get to in a second too. The CoCoDev is an FPGA-based piece of hardware that implements the 6809, much like the Coco FPGA does, or the Matchbox, or some of these other things. But it's not meant to be fully Coco compatible. It's rather to be meant as similar to a Coco, can be programmed the same way. He's already got the basic ROMs, the Tandy basic ROMs running on it. Oh, Nitrous 9 Level 2 is running on it with text modes only at this point. It doesn't have graphics working yet. So it kind of sounds like he's trying to get like it familiar for people that are used to programming on the Coco to have more modern hardware. So it sounds similar to the 8-bit guy's Commodore 64 project that he talked about on the show when we interviewed him, where he's got that thing that, you program it like a C64, but it's got a whole bunch of capabilities past, and it's not 100% backwards compatible.
Neat.
So we kind of, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's neat. I haven't seen that up till just now.
Yeah, so he kind of goes through the specs here. It's got the 689 core, 512K of static RAM, 4 mega flash memory, et cetera, et cetera. So this is kind of the hardware thing. And then he's got the software demo. So you can immediately see here at the beginning of his demo, disk basic, but running on a much higher resolution text screen than you get on a Coco VGA even at that point. I think it's like an 80 by 50 screen.
Extended color basic. And another is the real-time clock.
Got a real-time clock built into it.
1,000 virtual floppy drives that are available, so I can mount any of the 1,000 floppy drives.
And he can mount thousands of images on it. He's also got a flash ROM that was mentioned in the specs. You can save images on there as well that you can pull off that you don't have to link up with an SD card or anything. It can be built right in. And there's not a room for a ton of those. I think it's like 20 or something.
There's a little program
the SD card, of course, you
DRV
can have thousands and thousands of them.
.bas. So I saved a single.
So he kind of goes through that. And then he's got some low-res graphics stuff demoing there. And of course, it runs really, really fast. And then he also does a demonstration briefly of Nitrous 9 running on it.
Basic
program.
program.
A little bit on the flash here.
Now,
so he's got a couple new commands for the flash memory access. He's got fsave, fdir, fload type things, so you can actually save stuff on the flash ROM that gets retained between power up or power offs and power ons. And there he's got Nitrous 9 level 2, and it's emulating or not quite emulating, but virtualizing a 512K base hardware with MMU and everything else compatible with Coco 3, so it wasn't too hard for him to get the port to work. It does support multiple hardware text windows.
There's also
and it's actually pulling the real-time clock real time there, so you don't type it in like you have to do on the current easy use.
Background and black letters, and window 2,
and he set up his windows in different colors so you can tell them apart.
There.
But it's a very interesting project. He's been actively working on it now for a few months that I've been seeing on Discord. In fact, I think Mark, you just created a separate Discord channel for him to discuss the
Yes,
project.
there is. 6809 single board computer, SBC.
So if anybody's interested in this, I mean, you, aside from getting the details from the wiki and watching his video, kind of giving some explanations there, join Discord, join that particular channel there, and you'll be able to ask the person who's actually doing it all any questions you have, any things you would like to see on it, etc., how to set one up, etc.
He's on pretty frequently, so feel free to post questions there to him.
Yeah, he's a really good resource. He's also the author of the original version of Supercom, a term program we used to use back in the OS9 days in the 80s and 90s.
Cool.
Next up, and this is a new channel I've not seen on YouTube before called Hug Technologies. And he just acquired Dragon 32 untested. So he kind of goes through a bit of an explanation of what exactly a Dragon 32 is, a little bit of its history and stuff. And then he goes into trying to get it to run. And in this case, I think it was the power cord was kind of cobbled together. Somebody tried to make a handmade extender, so it's like held together with duct tape and whatever else.
Hi everyone. Today I'm very excited. I have.
And then there was also a chip missing in the video circuitry that he had to add back in. But you can see there it comes with the joysticks and stuff. And I'll see if I can find a picture of this power cord he had.
I don't like what this guy, the previous owner, did, or somebody did. I think he was trying to make the mains cable longer, so there's a nasty connection here. You can see I don't like that. I'm gonna cut this off and put my European mains classic type on the side. This one is useless. And
so he's going to convert the power cable over, and then he's kind of got some schematics and stuff there he's following to figure it out. And then he figured out that a chip was missing, but he basically, at the end of it, he gets it up and running. So, and if you could pick up a Dragon, and I think this is more for the PAL version than TSC, but if you're having problems with the power supply or problems with the video, then he has some tips and tricks you could try there to fix it up.
I'm sitting here trying to click like on that video.
click the link in the chat there. Mark's already posted it up to get to it. So, and the last one for the news segment here. This is actually, of course, near and dear to my heart because it's OS9 related. But this is the actual operating manuals for OS9 for the Dragon, including the service guide on the left. You can see the left-hand side of the programming manual on the right. I have not seen the Dragon versions of these before, so this was kind of interesting to me. And I think, did you have another picture?
The left one looks like the regular Dragon manuals, I think.
Yeah. And this one here, you got a couple of boxes of stuff. The left is Spectrum stuff. The stuff on the right is Dragon, like you can see J. Morrison Chess. You can see Drone, Data Tank, some games and stuff like that. And then he's got some, business software on the bottom there. Stock recording system, cash box, and tax register system, and Stylograph, which is a word processor, I think. We had that one on the Coco too, if I remember, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
For level 1. Yeah. So a pretty good haul of stuff there, but it was interesting. I've never seen the Dragon versions of the OS9 manuals before. They actually look a little bit better than the Coco 1 Tandy ones, to be honest.
I hadn't seen that kind of packaging used on the Dragon stuff before.
Yeah, pretty cool. And that's all I had for news, so I will stop sharing for now.
Good job, man.
Curtis?
Yo.
Can I add something?
Sure.
So, to pick up from last week's thing where we were discussing the arms for the joystick, on the deluxe joystick, on Facebook there was discussions about what plastics would be best to be used because, like PLA would be too soft and brittle and stuff like that. And I did some testing just to give an idea with just the PLA print that I did, that I posted pictures on Facebook, which you could probably view from those links from last week. But I was playing some games for quite a while, and I was being quite rough with the joystick to see if I could get the arms to break. And just to give an idea to those people that were complaining the plastic for the arms might be too brittle, I broke the actual joystick housing before the arms broke.
Only you, David. Only you.
Now, that was
So
unexpected.
I'm happy breaking things.
So just a comment. If the new arms can survive better than the joystick housing can now, I don't think you have to worry about the 3D printing being in PLA for the arms, because your body will probably break before the arms.
I think that's what we have to consider a David Ladd level of force.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember, David, because actually I kind of forgot about that because we had kind of covered the basis of that last week, so I kind of didn't add it to the news again. But didn't they also have replacements for the switches on the bottom for switching between free float and springback as well? Because those break and wear out too.
Yes. Paul Fiscarelli was two hours behind us, so when he got caught up, he started designing the free float switches while we were still on CoCoTALK, and had sent me the STLs to print a couple. And so, and then of course the Steve Kelly, is that correct? Who did the two arms, he did his own free float switch. I haven't tried printing those yet, but yeah, the PLA plus version of those, I've been, vigorously working them back and forth, and they haven't broke. So yes, you can 3D print those.
Okay, now I have one last question before we end the segment then. Concerning replacement 3D parts, whether they be for the joysticks or anything else we come up with in the future, for those of us that do not have access to 3D printers, don't have people with them nearby, are any of you people that do have them planning on selling or at least making available to manufacture on behalf of us some of these things that get screwed up on joysticks, etc.?
Well, I've been thinking about it. Now, a lot of people, you can go through Thingiverse and you can actually get them printed, but I'll tell you, going through Thingiverse to get stuff printed, I've had some experience with this. They do not print in the very best quality settings, so they're more like on very low prototype settings, which aren't the greatest settings.
Not very strong.
Yeah. And
so you're saying is Baker recommend we don't use them to get these done?
Right.
I have a alternative suggestion. Check your local library. One of my local libraries, you have to take a little class and you have to pay a fee and stuff, but they do have a 3D printer and you can go in and print stuff on it. So
now, does that cost as much as ordering a part from David?
I have no idea. I haven't printed anything yet. So
okay. Because what I'm looking is it to make a commercial version of this that people can actually just get replacement parts for whatever they need, not have to worry about dealing with 3D printers and downloading the right file and blah, blah, blah.
And keep in mind, this is going to vary from one library to the next anyway.
Yeah, so I don't think our local libraries here have any 3D printers yet, from what I know of.
Yeah, I'll take a look with my printer, and if it makes good ones, because I happen to have one that's broken, a joystick that I've glued back together to use, and I'll print them, and if they work, I'll print up a whole bunch of batches and make them available. Should be able to just send them out for a couple of bucks in a padded envelope.
Yeah. Well, if you bring some down to the fest there, Alan, if you want to make them, or David or whoever, I mean, I've got 4 or 5 deluxe joysticks here, and all of them need those bottom switches replaced, and probably a few of them are close on the bars too.
Yeah, I'll see about doing that. I already have about half a dozen or so of the cases for the Coco Wi-Fi parts for people that bought the pieces from me previously that want to put it in the little box that was designed not by me, and I'll try to bring some of those to the show if I can make it.
Cool.
Yeah. And as far as me, I used the Thingiverse calculators, pardon me, and I figured based on what they were figuring, it was like about $9 to print both arms and both the buttons, or not the buttons, but the little free float switches. And so I figured setting the printer at max quality, 100% infill for strength, I figured $10 for all 4 pieces would probably be a good round figure for those, because, you know, if you're wanting strength, you want 100% infill and you want the best quality, at least from what I've been playing with for printing in the last week. Yeah.
Well, if you sell a kit of the 10 pieces, like the 2 free float things and then the 2 bars, I would buy several of those.
Yeah, well, just give me some time, because right now I'm still printing the printer's upgrade bars. This thing's been running for like now 2 weeks straight of nothing but printing its own upgrades, and it's and yeah, and
Printer inception.
Well, and I have new firmware I need to install, which I just got done printing the electronics enclosure because I wanted to move it from under the printer to a separate spot. And just to print the electronics case took me 24 hours. So it's
just well, you have until mid-April. That's when CoCoFEST is, and that's when I want to pick them up. So between you and Alan, if you guys can both bring a few there, I'll buy a couple off each of you just to keep it fair if you want. Doesn't matter to me, but I definitely do need some of those kits.
As long as you don't mind orange.
It's the stuff that's going inside the case. What would I care?
Oh, I could give an option. Then I've got about 8 different colors of filament. So let's take that, David.
Okay, in that case, I'll order 4 plaid sets then.
I need to get the ones that can do the full color printing. Then we can have rainbow parts for our color computer.
Yes.
Or at least the 3 color bars for the color logo itself. Yeah.
You know, what I was actually thinking about doing is trying to find a way to build a filament processing where you can take the old filaments that you have that are the same kind, you know, like PLA, and take all the different supports and stuff from the different colors, put them together, and make a whole new filament that's just a mishmash of all of your old standoffs to then have a recycled filament. So then you would have multicolored filament.
And melt them down and extrude them into a cable, or wire.
Are these plans? I noticed somebody's been editing the CoCopedia lately and had uploaded links about those. Are these all in one place? It sounds like there's multiple people doing the designs. Are these all on some download site?
Scott Kelly has all 3 of his designs on Thingiverse because I requested him to do this on Facebook. It's like everything I've been getting for my printer, I've been getting from Thingiverse as far as the models. And it's like, it's an easy source because if you search for Candy or Joystick, you'll now find the button covers for the original Black Beauty. You know, if you break the button covers, you can now print those because a gentleman had models up there for those. And now you'll find the 2 arms and the free float switch, 2 versions of that, because you'll find Paul Fiscarelli's version and Scott Kelly's.
Cool. I'm definitely looking forward to getting some replacement parts because some of my joysticks are getting pretty worn. I figure I could have done better on Donkey King, so.
Oh, whatever.
And
on that
competent
BS
musician
note,
does not blame his instruments.
So we're actually, I heard from the control room. We're going to take a brief commercial, and then we'll be back with the GameON segment.
We will return after these messages.
Baby, there's something I need to talk to you about. Remember when we first met? Everything was so easy and it felt like nothing could stop us. But now, everything is such a struggle. And if I'm being honest, you're really starting to show your age. Can I get the check, please?
Break up with 512K. Use 2 megabytes now with NitroOS 9 Ease of Use Edition.
Ease of Use.
Download EOU today at lcurtisboyle.com.
Hi, I'm Terry Steen, author of Balloon Fire and other amazing games on the color computer. And you're listening to Stevie Stroh on CoCoTALK.
At GSoft, we make games for the TRS-80 color computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
My fellow Americans, Australians, Canadians, Europeans, and all of you ands, I'm calling on all y'all to help us make the world great again by visiting the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com, where you can get yourself a coffee mug like this with a little cute cartoon character that says, I'm a Coco Nut. You could also get yourself a coffee mug like this with a Color Computer 3 that says, I'm a Coco Nut. You could get yourself a deluxe travel mug like this with the CoCoTALK logo on it. You might even be able to get yourself a DVD like this with over 2 hours of gameplay goodness. It is time for us to rise up and make the world great again by enjoying some quality retro merchandise and Coco nostalgia. So please visit 8bit256.com and let's make the world great for the color computer. Thank you very much.
Coco 2's got personality, lots of practicality, fun, it's sensational, learn it's educational. Coco 2's expandable, so easily commendable. It's programmable, so term exam grammable. Just you and Coco 2 do what you want to do.
Coco 2, the color computer with personality from Radio Shack. Sale price for Christmas giving from $149.95.
Radio Shack's Coco 2, do what you want to do. Just you and Coco 2.
Tired of switching your joystick between the left and right port? Want to change between different controllers? Well, Joey has got you covered. The Joey Controller Switch. Take control of your controllers with the flip of 2 switches. Order today at cocoman.biz. And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. Legend says, when the moon is full, if you go out in the country by the lake and whisper the name of Nick Marotta 3 times, his spirit will appear and he will grant you a product idea.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
And before we go on to Game On, we have a very special Coco Thoughts. Let's hear from Mr. Samuel Gimes.
And now, Coco Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. I tried Doodle Bug. Worst drawing program ever.
That one for a
And now, Game On with Nick Marotta and L. Curtis Boyle.
All right, welcome to the Game On segment. Are we gonna start off with the last week's challenge, Curtis?
Sure.
All right. So last week, as we all know, was Doodle Bug, and I'm happy to say that the number of participants went up this week from last. Last week we had 11, and this week we had 17 people take place, which is fantastic. So in alpha order of their nicknames, we had Ben Drakes, Board of Carr, who is John from Amigos Retro Gaming, Bryza, Buck Owens, Jacob Moore, son of D. Bruce Moore, Just Mike, Ken Reichart, L. Curtis Boyle, Lee, Mark B, Mr. Dave 6809, yours truly, OG Stevie Stroh, Rob Inman, Terry Stagey, Tom C, and Wayne Campbell, Wayne CA.
And Nick,
So thank
can-
you
can we-
all for submitting your scores.
Can you
Sorry?
do a special highlight for Ben Drakes, because I don't think I have him in my graphic. So if you could just talk about his score, and apologies to Ben.
Oh, sure, yes. So we had a couple late entries. We had we had Ben Drakes at 16,320, and we had Rob Inman at 23,120.
For some
which are
reason,
both
I managed to get my
respectable
score
scores.
into the graphic.
Oh, for some reason. How funny is that? How funny is that?
No
The guy
conflict of
creating the
interest
video
there.
was able to get his name. That's okay. So anyway, yes. So thank you, Ben, for your entry of 16,320 this morning.
Okay, and we're gonna roll the challenge, the challengers in the top 10 in reverse order. Now I did add system sound, so people should be able to hear you, but you never know. But anyway, here are the high scores now.
Dave Kimura is very happy to see Jacob take part.
That's right.
It's awesome. I hope he continues to do so. Yes, he did very well this week. Mr. Dave is the inspiration for this.
Forget about it.
Dom C from Jersey.
Stevie did all right.
Made it past level 1.
He's up there.
Blowing his reputation of
Number 3, Nick Marotta.
That's right, because once again, Al Curtis jumped in and jumped ahead of me at the last minute.
While he was just
Coco stuff?
yeah, while he had 5 minutes to spare.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think I'll beat Nick's score. Okay, my work here is done. I'm going to start taking it personally, Curtis.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say he septupled my score, so I got absolutely stomped.
622,718. Is there a particular address you poke for them?
Are you sure he didn't just edit the picture?
That'll be one of the tips we talk about. Which does not involve Photoshop.
Well-
do you have that as a tip, Curtis, or do you want, or we mention that?
I wanted to mention one other thing too. Like we were in Discord, we were posting some of the old Rainbow scoreboard scores to see what people back in the day were getting. And the second place one in there was actually my cousin Eugene, and I actually watched him play the game he placed there, and he had over 2 million. So
Wow.
it's definitely done without cheating. You can get 600,000.
Do they even have digits for that?
I'm trying to remember if it wrapped over. I honestly don't remember if it wrapped at 6 digits or not. But I was there when he played it, and it took him like a good hour and a half, 2 hours to play.
16-bit.
Well, we saw the
processing for that one.
We saw the screenshot for Buck Owens, and his showed all 6 digits, so definitely had at least that.
And that's his real name.
Buck Owens, legendary country artist. Yes.
Now, as far as tips and tricks go, I'll bow to mine to being at the end again. What did you guys find when you guys were playing it? All the other people that took part, I should say. What did you guys find as strategies or tips or tricks or anything you guys discovered?
Don't get killed.
I liked using the deluxe joystick the best, and there was a tip out there to get the hearts as soon as possible. I kind of preferred to clear the dots out around from the whatever you want to call that little ghost pen there first. So I kind of concentrated on the middle of the board while I had time before the first bug came out, and then I went and got the hearts and that. So that seemed to work for me.
Are you seeing that Terry's complaining there too, Nick, in the chat?
Yeah. And I realize I made a terrible mistake this week. I've been playing Megabug.
I said Terry Steggy's name.
Oh, you did?
In the honorable mentions, yes. You'll have to go back and check the tapes, Terry, and then you can apologize to me.
What was the
And
score?
just remember that's part 3 of this episode, not the first 2.
The name, the episode, so nice we started it thrice.
Anybody else have any tips and tricks that they want to mention?
Somebody else said the deluxe joysticks work the best too. So I don't remember who it
I
was.
did not like the gamepad at all for this game. I started off with that because I figured that'd be really awesome, but I did not like the gamepad. Probably because of the I don't know. I found that if you let go, the proclivity of the game to go right really threw me off, and for some reason, I found that the deluxe joystick was just better for me.
And that's kind of ironic because the game is old enough. It came out in '82 from Computerware. That the deluxe joystick didn't exist. All we had was Black Beauties back then. So that's what all the high scores in Rainbow were based on.
Yeah, I didn't like the Black Beauty either for some reason. Yeah, for some reason, the deluxe just really felt right for me on this one.
Wayne Campbell says his hint and tip is don't use a keyboard with half keys for up and down.
I could probably agree with that. I did mine in Xroar using the keyboard on my Mac, but it's got full-size arrow keys, and that was hard trying to steer that thing with the arrow keys. It was like it has trouble registering 2 or 3 keys at once if I'm trying to switch a direction real quick. So sometimes it would pick up one of them and just go one way and not both.
So you'd have a way of overshooting sometimes. You want to go up and you go left or whatever.
Yeah, or run into something, or you're trying to get one of the letters and you miss it because you went the other direction out of the 2 you picked, and it didn't get the letter at the right color.
And the button makes you stop. Unlike in the arcade game, centering your joystick would make you stop. But in Doodle Bug, pressing.
Yeah, that was a bit of an odd design choice because you could stop in the arcade game, right? You could just pop the joystick in the middle.
I verified that in MAME with the arcade ROM, and yes, you could.
I will have to see if I can get a hold. Like I did get a hold of the original author, David Crandall, years and years ago for the Coco Games site, and there's an email from him if you guys want to read it. He actually gave me some of his unreleased games which you can download there too. But I would like to find out why he decided to make it so that you could not stop except using the button. Like, why did he pick the button mechanic to cause a stop rather than the center? I mean, aside from the fact we didn't have auto-centering joysticks, maybe he thought that was easier. I'm not sure.
Maybe. So you wouldn't have to guess where the dead zone is, maybe. I don't know. But I would have preferred to have a dead zone.
Any other tips and tricks from anybody else before I go on to my little spiel about it? I noticed that Aaron at the Amigos, who actually had a Coco when he was a kid, was too chicken to actually, put up a score himself. There. He let Boat do all the work for him this week.
A little shade there. That's right.
Actually, Aaron said this is just not his game. It's not his bag. But I guess for Boat, John Schaller, it is his bag. And he played it like the very first night after the contest for what the game was announced, and his score stood for a couple of days. And he always only had a Coco since December. He's never touched one before, 2 months ago. So to get that high of a score and maintain the lead for a couple of days, it was pretty impressive.
Yep.
Anyway, nobody else has any more tips or tricks here. I'll mention a few that I know.
Hold my
well, some of
beer
these are
for
pretty
some time.
obvious too. First of all, you should steer around the maze each time the screen refreshes and get all the white hearts first, period. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about killing bugs. Don't worry about getting letters or anything else, because that will maximize your score. It multiplies it by 2, 3, then 5 times. So that third one actually gives you an extra boost in score. You get 50 dots per dot, 50 points per dot that you get versus 10 or 20 or whatever. So it makes a huge difference on your scores if you're going for scores. Try to spell extra and special. Extra will give you an extra man, and it's blue. Well, if you're using the colors that match your arcade, red will be special, blue will be extra. Depending if you have a Coco 1 and 2 and how you hit, how many times you want to hit reset, it'll swap those 2 colors, obviously. But special will give you a full complement of men. So if you start the game with 6 men and you spell special, then you get 6 more. Basically is how that works, so that you can last a really long time. And the person, Buck, that actually did win the challenge, that he managed to do that from what I understand, and that's how he managed to get his score so high.
Yep.
Cool.
The next step, and this is the one that I kind of talked to Stevie about when he was doing one of his live streams this past week from chat. Now, the color cycling for the letters and the hearts always goes through the same pattern. It's red very briefly, blue for a little bit longer, and then white for a long time, cycles back. So it's a predictable pattern. It never changes from that. But the second thing is that most of the time, now, depending on the level, there's 4 parts. You probably notice it says part. It's basically the level number that's above the timer on the left-hand side of the screen. And I don't know if, Nick, if you wanted to fire up, kind of show this, we can kind of show it at the same time so people can see what I'm talking about. But basically, the timer that you've got.
Oh, I can't if you're sharing sound. Okay. All right.
So we'll just kind of talk over the thing so you guys can see what's going on.
Okay, should see it.
So you see where it says right under the Doodle Bug logo, it says Part 1. That's basically the level you're on. And basically that level will do two things. It'll change the shape of the bug, like what type of a bug you're dealing with in that particular one. And I think it wraps at 4, if I remember. And it also will change the amount of time you have in the timer bars. And those are those white blocks in the lower left. And they basically count down. The original arcade game, it actually went around the perimeter of the screen. So on most of the levels, at least every second time, the color change will happen as soon as that bar starts over. So when you hear that dee 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 at the end when the bug's about to come out, the very last one of those is when, if you're sitting right beside a letter and you want to get it when it's red, then you hold off until you hear that last of those tones go when it's about to release the bug, then you go. Now, on some levels, depending on the timer, because the timer varies depending which part number you're on some of them it'll be every 2 timer or every 2 releases of the bugs, every 2 of the neener sounds, as Stevie calls them.
Neener.
So every 2 of those you'll have to see. So you have to just play it a little bit and kind of keep an eye on it as to when it triggers. But most of the time it's actually every time. But when you time it that way, then you can get the red. As soon as you let go on that last tone, you'll get it red every time. Blue gives you enough time that if you're beside it, you just wait a second or 2 and then it'll be blue. And white, of course, is what it is most time. You can tell when it's going to change from white to red when you start getting that tone of the do-do-do-do-do-do, then you know that it's about to change to red. So if you're trying to get a white heart and you're a little bit further away, maybe hold off until it cycles through the colors again. And that's the critical one. Like I remember when I used to play this back in the day with a joystick rather than or the keyboard here, that I could regularly get 500,000. I was never as good as my cousin was, but it was pretty easy to get special and extra at least once if you learn that timing. So that's the biggest tip I have on that particular one, is that there is a consistent order of the colors, and if you time it with the sound or by watching the bars on the left, whichever you prefer, then you can actually time it to get them at the right color so you can spell those words a lot faster. And that's my tips on it. I don't know if Buck, if he was in chat or anything here, if he had any further things he wanted to add, but.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what Buck says, because like I said, I clear out the middle first and then go for the hearts, but that's because I find the middle is really challenging when the bugs are out, and whereas I tend to have an easier time sticking to the perimeters. So
yeah,
I try to get rid of the middle as fast as I can.
I tend to do that, especially in the later levels too myself. The other thing I do is, the pickle, as Steve calls it, in the middle. I don't know if it's supposed to be a pickle; it's supposed to be a vegetable of some sort. But I pretty well ignore that. If it happens to be that I'm walking by it and it's there and all the bugs are out and there's no bugs right around me, I'll grab it as a bonus, but I don't go out of my way to get them. I think that's a trap to sucker you into doing a stupid move, so I don't even worry about them. And if you can get the special spelled out and the extra spelled out and you've got 3 hearts and you're getting 50 points a dot anyway, your score will do much better and you'll last a lot longer not worrying about it.
So you're saying some things are just not worth going for?
Yeah, well, you go for it if you happen to be beside it and the coast is clear, but I wouldn't go out of my way for it.
The bonus isn't big enough for the risk.
Yeah. Though the bonus keeps increasing in points as the game progresses, as you get them too. So, I mean, eventually they'll be worth a ton of points. So if you get good enough that you can last, 16 boards or something like that, then it might be worth it. But at the beginning, when you're just trying to get initialized scores, like I was trying to do in my brief half hour with it on Friday, to me, it wasn't worth the extra effort or the risk. And I'll mention that Aaron in Amigo Games, like he said, or Amigo Gamers there, he said that he's it's just not his bag. He doesn't like the game that much, but he also said that John is great at the arcade game too. So it was probably just like coming back home for him, and which is why he did so well. He only played it for about half an hour or 45 minutes, once in his life, and he got up in the 60,000s already. So. Dave and Sharon, I'm not sure which one of the two is speaking here, but says, I leave a dot near the larva so I can grab it and end the map quickly. And Can Make It says, the color for the special letters, the red ones, lasts about 3 nanoseconds.
Yes.
It's a little bit longer than that. Once you get that timing with the sound down pat, you can get it every time. It's not even hard. So as long as you're right beside it when you let go of the button, it just takes a bit of practice.
3.5 milliseconds. A bit longer.
Well,
Now
it's
for the
definitely
panelists,
very valuable.
We can hear you.
Hey, it's I just got back from my Rage Quit Anonymous meeting. I just want to say that a lot of support coming there.
How you feeling there, Stevie?
I'm doing good. Thanks for keeping the Tandy flame alive. I just wanted to give like my 2 cents on the game too, because you guys were talking about how Aaron said this maybe wasn't his game, you know. And when Nick first announced this too, I wasn't really excited about the notion of this particular game, but having played it, I think what this challenge is also doing, not only just getting us playing the games, but it's getting us a little bit more familiar with all the nuances of the game and its logic and stuff like that. So I think when you spend like focused time, you learn things about the game, and sadly sometimes even about yourself, you know. So
And isn't that really what's important?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, learning to rage quit properly. I think that's what you've primarily learned here. So
yeah, no, I mean the whole timing thing, and you know, this game is really clever, honestly. Obviously the original, but and the Coco clone as well. But it's one of the few times where I would almost say that a clone of an arcade game is possibly better than the original, because I like this better than Pac-Man.
Well,
have you played the original Ladybug in the arcade? Ladybug.
I probably have, but not extensively, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't ever as popular as Pac-Man, obviously. So,
but it's really clever, and the dynamics of it, the turnstiles really change the game on you, you know.
Yeah, well, we were discussing this, I think, on the Amigos channel at one point. I think this is probably one of the very first deformable terrain, as they're called, where you can actually affect the play field itself in the game. And the turnstiles, basically, you're redoing the entire map of the maze. So I think it is one of the first.
Right, and another one similar to this was Mousetrap. Mousetrap had 4 different colored buttons that you could use to open and close doors. So similar concept, but harder to implement because you had multiple buttons to press.
Yeah, that one required too much thinking for my book.
Yeah.
So Steve Rasmussen, he's Buck Owens, right?
Is he?
Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
His main goal was to get the hearts first, and then the letters in the proper color as soon as he could.
Yeah, and that's pretty well what I was doing too.
So
just not anywhere near as successfully.
I believe Steve Rasmussen is Buck Owens, and if not, I apologize, but I believe I've seen.
Yeah, I got to say, I enjoyed playing the game, but then I also got to a point where I figured, you know what, my score is probably not going to get much better. I've spent enough time on this, you know. I got a respectable score, but I am not going to kill myself, you know. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about having fun and getting people involved. And I'm glad to see that we have a lot more people involved this week. I don't know if you've announced it yet, what the next game is going to be.
Nope.
Nick?
We will be very shortly.
And I know that one of the things that Bruce Moore was hoping is that, you know, if we don't do it this time, or maybe we make this more, we speak about it more consciously, we really want to focus on how many people play the game versus what the scores are. So we did, I think you mentioned we had 17 this week versus 11 last week.
Yes.
I'd love to see those numbers increase week after week, just getting more people involved playing their Coco. That's really the high score, is how many people can we get playing the game, you know?
There's one thing I want to add. We're kind of doing this week to week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
On Atari Age, their high score competition, they sign up for the year, and then your score, the place you were in for the game, counts towards points towards the total at the end of the year. So it may not be a game that's your favorite, but if you put up, you know, enough points to get somewhere on the board where you score points, then it counts for the end of the year. So it kind of encourages you to play games that you're maybe not so good at.
Kind of like a decathlon.
Yeah.
Then at
Kinda
the
like
end of the
every day
year,
for
you get a
Stevie.
new car.
Matchbox.
Hot Wheels.
Matchbox Hot Wheels. Yeah, did they make Matchbox cars anymore?
Lamborghini.
Die-cast model.
All right, so if anybody else have anything to talk about with this, or we might want to...
Well, one thing Steve Rasmussen said in the chat here says the cool thing about this version is the turnstiles can push the enemies. If you tried that on the CV version or arcade, you will die.
So wait, you can ditch the enemies? Is it possible to lose them?
Well, you can push the turnstile and force the bug to move wherever you're pushing the turnstile to get him out of your way. And I guess the arcade version you can't.
But once the enemy's on your tail, he's following you into the turnstile.
If he's right on you, then yeah, you have to get all the dots to get away from dying.
Which in real life, I don't think that would happen. Try to get 2 people into a revolving door, see what happens.
Well, we kind of did that at CoCoFEST, didn't we?
Not pretty.
One entrance,
Yeah. All right, well, thanks again to everybody who took part. And we reiterate, it's not about the score. Just play, have fun. And that's really what we're trying to do is just, have a nice interactive
I do want to make
environment where we hang
one
out.
quick comment. I want to try to encourage Aaron on their network here to try and encourage more of their viewers to come and join in too. Like I know him and Boat will both join in on certain games, like they played Donkey King and John played Doodle Bug. But I'd really like to encourage them to help encourage their other viewers that have Cocos or have gotten into Cocos with emulators, etc., to join in. I know quite a few of them do game reviews and stuff, and I know some of them have been too busy to do it lately. But I'd like to see more of their people kind of join in too. As I know they got some great game players over there. It'd be fun to have this friendly competition with everybody.
Yeah, and we'll replay the high scores after, before we go to commercial, just so people can see them again. But you'll notice that it says challengers instead of winners, and it will list all the participants, no matter how many we have.
Cool.
A thought I had too, maybe, and for the CoCoFest is that maybe we could have a game set up and people could actually play high scores during the CoCoFest if they want to sit there and play. We could have a
We
game
did that
for
a little
CoCoFest.
bit the last one. We actually had a whiteboard up that people were writing scores on. Because I remember I played a Zaxxon score and then Jacob kicked my butt literally 10 minutes later. So
I can't wait till we play Nightmare Highway, and then you could win a sofa cover.
I'm waiting for the Valentine's Love Seat edition myself. But
Oh, there'll be the CoCoFest special edition with the power of Terry.
All right,
You'd have a
guys.
first prize being a free copy of Nightmare Highway.
Autograph.
All right. I think we're going to wrap this up because we have more show to do. So I'm going to announce the next game, which will be
Drum roll.
Still a lifeline, right?
Buzzard bait. No.
Draconian.
This is a good one.
Cool.
This is a different genre. We've done a platformer and we've done a maze game. So now we're going to do a shooter. So Draconian shall be.
And this is loosely based, well, fairly closely based in some ways, on Bosconian from the arcade. The maps are pretty well identical. Some of the gameplay mechanics are identical, but there are some nuances on the Coco version that actually I think make the game better.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, start any time until and then before the show next week.
Now,
put your screenshots up.
Now, Curtis, since the announcement, have you already scored over 100,000 while we've been in the last 5 seconds?
No, this is going to be another last minute to see if I can get a chance to play because of work.
He'll just sneak in this to beat me, and then his work.
He works better under pressure.
I'm taking it totally personally, Curtis. I'm sorry, but I know it is.
Well, if you guys would just be, better players, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Oh. All right, so that's gonna do it for this part of the Game On segment. And you had some things to talk about, Curtis, or?
Yeah, I do. I was just going to ask if you guys want a commercial break before I hit the gaming news part of the Game On segment, or do we want to go straight?
Yeah, let's just recap the winners again for the last week's challenge, and then we'll come back with Game On Part 2.
Oh, let me stop sharing. Sorry.
Yes,
right.
Let me share my system sound for the people on the.
Is that game Coco 2?
It is.
Draconian? Yes, it is. 32K, Coco 1
game.
and 2 required, and joysticks.
Okay.
But it works on the Coco 3, and it works. Oh, there's a version called Coco called Draco 3. Do not run that one because it's been high speed poked. And I want everybody to play the same version. So play the normal speed Draconian.
And there was a comment in the chat that maybe we want to talk about after the commercial, Curtis, about the Coco 3 not having a lot of software ports for it. And
okay, yeah, we can discuss that.
might be-
We'll cover that before I hit the news part.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at the high scores one more time and commercial, and we'll come right back with Game On.
And now, these messages.
Extended Color Basic, combined with a disc controller, brings you
Disk Extended Color Basic. Direct access to your floppies. Direct access to all of your hardware resources.
Deck B on your color computer.
Deck B washes away the competition.
Hi, this is Randy Kindig of the Floppy Days podcast. I just love me some Coco, and nobody covers it better than Steve Strobridge. You're listening to CoCoTALK.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me. It's original gamer Stevie Stro. You know, gameplay. To get your copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD today, head on over to 8bit256.com. There you will find several DVDs featuring color computer gameplay videos by the original gamer Stevie Stro. So to get your very own copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD, head on over to the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com and tell them the original gamer Stevie Stro sent you.
Hey, this is Bruce Moore, author of Force of Doom, and you're watching the original gamer Stevie Stro.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the tiny color computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
We're back for Game On Part 2. What you need to know from L. Curtis Boyle.
Hello, everyone again.
So I guess first we'll cover the statement by who's it, C Drive in the chat room. I like that handle, by the way.
What if
Format.
I land
No, I'm just kidding.
by C?
So he was saying that he was eager to grab a Coco 3, but they're getting so expensive, and there are very few games ported to utilize anywhere improved hardware. I agree with half that statement. They are getting harder and harder to get one, and they are getting expensive. eBay's just going nuts with them. So definitely that is true. As far as the quantity of games available, I mean, there's several hundred titles available for the Coco 3 that uniquely use the Coco 3 hardware, and there's more stuff coming out, Gunstar, Digger 3, etc. So I think the library is growing. There's actually more official ports on the Coco 3 than there was in the Coco 1 and 2, because that's when Tandy finally started paying attention to getting official licenses. So that's when we got stuff like Super Pitfall and Rampage and that kind of thing.
Arkanoid, which was really awesome.
And Predator.
Well, we won't mention that one, but anyway. RoboCop,
Really?
Rad Warrior. So there are a lot of good games for it, and people are learning the hardware more nowadays too. Like Chet and Nick and a few others are starting to really push the limits on the game front. We've had John Kowalski and a few others pushing it, on demos and stuff before. So I think we're going to start seeing even better games coming out for it. And on my side of things, we're trying to speed up Basic 09 and the graphics subsystem in Nitrous 9, so that you'll be able to run some fairly decent quality graphics at fairly decent speeds for stuff you want to just write in BASIC yourself. So I'm hoping that we will see more games there too. And we've seen a couple pretty good examples there too, like the Shanghai by Sean Driscoll that's on the Ease of Use Beta 4 that you guys can try. Is actually a pretty decent Shanghai. Doesn't quite run as quick as Rick's does, but it's a pretty decent effort for a BASIC program. So I would say the Coco 3 is, if you can find one for a decent price and get it, I would still get one. It's easy and cheap to upgrade to 2 mega RAM and a 639, so you can play absolutely everything. But yeah, they are getting hard to get and expensive to get when you can find one. So it's a sad state of affairs, at least until Ed comes out with his Coco 3 clone later on after the Gimme X project's done.
Yeah, that's really cool. We're all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's and it's not a product out there that none of us do look forward to. It's all pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Now, Nick, kind of going along the question there about Coco 3 games and how many there were, type of thing. How often do you plan on peppering in Coco 3 only games on the GameON Spotlight segment? Nick Marotta?
I'm sorry. What were you asking me? I was reading the chat. What were you asking me?
He saw something shiny.
I was about to answer a question.
You had one job.
I know.
I was just going to say, because there is a bit more limited, number of Coco 3 only games at this point. How often do you plan on peppering in a Coco 3 only game on the GameON Spotlight?
Oh, I was actually hoping to get one in next week. I figure maybe one out of every 4 or 5 would be
okay. That should balance out pretty well. And we've got some Dragon stuff too that we can throw in on the Coco 1 and 2 side too.
So we've done this will be 3 Coco 2 games that we've done. So I figure probably next week is a good time to do a Coco 3 game.
Okay. I also like the fact, I will say, that you surprise me each week with what the next game is, because you don't tell me ahead of time either, which is cool.
That's because I want you to well, I don't need practice, but I gotta. In fact, if you could not listen to the show until like Thursday, Friday, that would be even better. Like I just did now. I wasn't really listening to you, so if you could do the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm used to that with my segment. I mean, Stevie nods off whenever I talk about Nitrous 9, so.
A little bit of truth.
C Drive was lamenting that Coco 3s are going for $700 US. And that's not true. You can find them much cheaper than that.
Yeah, usually it's about the $200 to $300 range these days.
Right now. People dream and want to ask $700 because they think, oh, it's old, it's valuable, but no, you can find them for much less.
The only way I would pay for $700 is if it comes with a ton of hardware and software with it. Like it'd have to be some huge bundle deal with RGB monitors and hard drives and all kinds of stuff. So, but you should be able to get them on $200 to $300, I would say.
Someone bought a Coco 3 yesterday in the US for 99 cents.
Canada, actually, but yeah.
Canada, was it? Okay, yeah.
I thought I got a good deal.
Yeah, that's only like 80 cents or 75 cents Canadian, or American, so that's really cheap.
Yeah, it was an outlier though. By the way, people may not know this, but if you use eBay, if you search for something like Coco 3 or Tandy Color Computer 3, and then check on the left side where it says finalized auctions, basically, you'll get an idea of what things actually sold for.
Rather than the asking price, which some people are insane with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 99 cents too, that the one on there, that's about $3,000 Australian.
Plus, I know some people in our panel here have actually had good luck finding them at thrift shops and stuff too. So every once in a while, you can just luck out and find one, or even a local ad in a Craigslist or a newspaper or something. Sometimes people are getting rid of stuff. You can get them really cheap because they have no idea what they sell for on eBay because they don't even follow eBay.
Or one just walks right past you at VCF Midwest, filled with soap powder, but for $5, who cares?
Exactly. That was a Coco 3 you got for the $5?
Yes, it's a Coco 3. Yep.
Oh wow! And I thought for some reason I thought it was a Coco 1 or 2. So
no, it had a broken power switch and a key switch installed. It was pretty well roached, but I was able to bring it back to life, and it's up and running. Yeah. And I just left the key switch in there for a conversation piece.
Cool. And Nick Marotta, I just want to point out that Jason's already got Draconian fired up, so he's going way ahead of me in here on trying to beat your score.
That's okay. I'm the anyone but Curtis camp, so I don't like.
Talking of the high scores, I've got a little bit of interesting trivia there. The music, the very first music track in the high score presentation thing that you guys just did, I recognized that straight away. There's a whole bunch of cassettes here that I've been going through in my archives. Some of them I've had for 45 years or more. Some of them nearly as old as me. And on one of those cassettes, one from the late 80s, I think it was, when I was working as a repair tech, there's a CD that I absolutely loved at the time. It was a sound effects CD, and it was called The Hollywood Edge. And straight away, that music track, I recognized that. It was like, oh,
yeah,
that's on
we
the
use the Hollywood Edge
CD.
in our radio productions.
Yeah. So I recognized it straight away. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I'd only just archived that cassette, that cassette with the Hollywood Edge stuff on it. I literally had only just archived and digitized the stuff off that cassette, which I've had here for decades, literally a week ago. So it was kind of a bit of a blast hearing that. And it was like, well, that's interesting timing.
And Nick, you're still doing your presentation of what you picked up in a recent thing here after the GameON segment's done, correct?
Yes. I got a very nice
haul.
Nice price for what I got, absolutely, for sure. So yes.
Okay, we'll get into that as soon as the GameON segment's done. So I guess I will get ready for. Oh, I have to wait for somebody to stop sharing first before I can. I'm going to find my window. Here we are. Can you see that?
Certainly can.
Okay, so first up, the Coco Crew's got their programming contest for CoCoFEST here. And Jay Searle is actually participating in it, and he's been doing his video blogs of it. And he's put 3 up this week alone on this project that he's doing, which is an isometric game. And because he's already on part 3, I'm not going to play the mark and put the links. You can kind of follow the progress of it of the first 2 parts. Well, we'll just do a little bit on the third part here.
All right, hello everyone. This is.
Can you guys hear that, or is it too quiet?
This is going to be my update
little
video
quiet,
number 3 for progress with my
How's that?
isometric farming game for my entry into the CoCoFEST contest.
Fast forward a little bit here so you can kind of see.
About isometric.
Here he goes in the technical details of how to do isometric, so kind of the 3D angular view
and how to get
that his
them
playboard
to
will be
appear
using
correctly.
And he starts going through palettes, and we've kind of discussed this before, the composite versus RGB controversy. Why the heck didn't they make them the same?
I'm using the MAME composite.
Was that a past CoCoTALK? I'd like to hear that.
They're still.
But here's what his current gameplay looks like. So you're basically, it's like a farmland game where you're planting tomatoes, melons, pumpkin gourds, etc. So that's the play field, and now he's got the text. He's got his own custom font for it, running obviously in a Coco 3 mode. So here's, for C Drive, here's another Coco 3 game coming up. Coco 3 only.
The view in the upper left-hand corner has
Minecraft
changed
for Coco.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
What I have now is the green background, which represents just general grass color. And then each pixel.
I won't play the whole thing, but it's pretty fun watching him go through this, and he's discovering how the Coco 3 stuff works, and also planning the game itself.
Which are representing, like
I'm very interested to see, because if he gets it done by the fest, we should be able to see it at the fest too. So that'll be another game announcement at the fest, I guess.
You're gonna name it Bloomberg?
You'll have to ask Jamie. I have no idea what he's gonna call it.
I don't think we have any games like that for the Coco, where you grow stuff. I noticed that on a lot of other platforms they have those games.
Yeah, I mean we have some maps games where you do stuff like this, but they're usually the war style games where you're planting troops and tanks and spaceships and whatever. There's a few of those, but
Hey,
nothing like this.
Yeah, and to give you a point, Curtis, on this, a friend of mine got me sucked into the Farmville world, and this kind of game would be kind of cool to be able to just sit and play.
I never did get sucked into the Farmville thing. I know a lot of my friends were into it, but I just
Farmville.
Hey, Curtis, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, I don't think that the Coco Cruise Coco Challenge is just a programming challenge. I think it's kind of like Retro Challenge where you can do any project you want. It's just focused on Coco itself. So I think you could do hardware or other things too.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the correction. I think because I've only seen software offered so far is participating. That's why I thought it was software.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how I explained it. I think he said it's kind of like Retro Challenge, which means you can pretty much do any project you want. It's just Coco focused, so it's like Coco Challenge.
Okay, cool. Well, if I see any hardware projects coming up based on this, I'll make sure to mention them in the news in the future too. So thanks for the correction. And now we get into the weekly Jim Gary specials. And he's been a busy little beaver this last week. The first one here is a port of The Secret of Flagstone Manor text adventure. Now, Nick Marentes may be able to help me with this, because apparently this game was supposed to be the first natively written text adventure game in Australia on any platform from 1981.
Never saw it. Don't know.
And apparently it was first done, I think, on a Model 1 or something. So I don't know if you remember that from your Model 1 days.
I don't remember seeing it. No. Maybe it was in a magazine or something, was it? Or was it a
My understanding was
game?
it was commercial, but you could be.
Not something I remember either.
No.
Back in the day.
Yeah, well, back in the day, there weren't really very many commercial companies in Australia as such. But maybe it was in a magazine. I don't know.
Okay, I just thought it was kind of cool. I mean, it's just porting a text adventure game, which I mean, Jim's done lots, but having something that supposedly is the first natively written in an Australia game, that's kind of a nice little milestone to see. So I figure if we ever do an adventure game challenge, you two should kick our butts here, because it's, it might have some Australian parlance we don't understand or something.
When did he write it?
81.
81. Okay.
That's
because I did an adventure game in 82. So yeah, just before that.
I don't know. 81's kind of late for that.
Apparently not in Australia though. I guess they might have bought games like Zork and the original Colossal Cave and that kind of stuff, but this was actually written in Australia by an Australian, from what he was explaining.
Well, the TRS-80 was available in Australia from 78, I think.
Yeah, and the PET was too. I think the Apple II was, and
yeah, so there were a few earlier years. I mean, I didn't get my Model 1 until 1980. So yeah, probably were people creating software before that.
Yeah, there were already catalogs of stuff in the U.S.
Yeah, and there was lots of text adventure games, the whole Scott Adams line, and, the early Infocom, and. But this is supposedly the one that started the text adventure industry in Australia, so that's why I kind of picked that as one to talk a little bit extra on.
It's probably really easy for something like that to escape my radar, because I was never really that much into text adventure games. So I probably, even if it did come out and it was there in a catalogue, I probably wouldn't have really paid much attention to it. So I'm not really a very good gauge for that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's an interesting piece of trivia if it's true. Next up, he does a port of the Shoplifting Boy game, which is thought to be one of the very first stealth games. So he's going for firsts here this week. And this is ported from the PC 6001. And he's also using it as an entry in the upcoming 2020 CoCoFEST Asimov Awards, which I think is Diego's awards thing, if I remember correctly, which is basically programming games for the Coco. But this one makes use of a low-res text mode and some low-res graphics, but it actually looks pretty cool. And it's the original game was based in 1979 on the PC 6001, so that predates the Coco. But basically, you're running between these aisles here, and you're the guy with the O hat. The at hat is like the copper guard or whatever it is, and you have to grab all the dollar signs, the money from these shelves without getting seen, because then you get caught.
Because money's on shelves.
I thought he did a pretty cool low res animation of the guys walking around and stuff. So, and of course, you got a timer as well. I'd never seen this game before on any platform, so it's kind of an interesting one. And if it is one of the first stealth games ever done, that's another historical one. And then speaking of the Asimov Awards, he's making a game disc with multiple games for the awards. He did some minor updates to some of his games. You can see a screen that lists some of them here. So he's done some minor tweaks on a couple of them. And he's got, quite a few here listed. And then the actual one that actually really tweaked me, and a couple people mentioned this in the chat earlier, both on Discord and here, is his port of Outhouse to the MC10 level machine. I better mute that because I don't know if that's copyrighted music or not. But you get to shoot at the H for humans coming to steal your toilet paper.
Crap.
And this all came up because I know, Nick, you probably saw this too, but there was what's the guy that was doing the low res semi-graphics adventure game that you were helping write the graphics editor for?
Erico.
Yeah, Erico was actually doing some designs of a semi-graphics outhouse style game with fancy backgrounds and stuff. And that's kind of what inspired Jim Gary to pick up.
Oops, hang on. Oh, sorry.
Are you playing Doodle Bug?
That sounds familiar.
I just turned it on. Hang on.
I think you're a little late, Nick. The results are already in.
I'm just making the Photoshop.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Too late. Contest closed.
Now you said Draconian's the next one. Okay, I should load up Draconian.
There you go.
All right, keep going.
Anyway, it's a pretty interesting implementation of Outhouse, done in low res, which is MC10 compatible. So now, one thing that was cool is that on this one, he mentioned that he's entering this also into the contest, and then he also has a link, and this is done by Homepaterium, and it's their 2020 basic 10-liner contest. Now, I think we've covered this in previous years. They have a couple different subcategories, like single statement per line or 80 character maximum per line. You can stuff it to 255s, a different level, and then you can do weird packing tricks and stuff like that. And they've got quite a few entries in already. So we've got one from the MSX, we've got one here for the Sinclair Spectrum, one for the Mattel Aquarius, Coco 2 that's not done by Jim Gary, another one for the Spectrum, Atari 800 XL, Commodore 64. There's a Jim Gary Air Invaders, Jim Gary with his Santa one. This lava one is actually for the Spectrum, though the palette looks very Coco-ish. Another Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum, MSX, C16 plus 4, Atari 800 XL, VIC-20. So there's a wide variety of machines competing this and all doing games in, just 10 lines of basic or less. And some look original, some are kind of cloning. This Out and Run looks pretty cool. It's in the extreme 256 category. So I'm not sure. I think that's one where you can maximize the line. You can even edit it to handle extra characters beyond the 255 once it's tokenized, etc. too. So that might be one that's really pushing the 10 line to its limit, but it looks pretty impressive. So anyway, if any of you guys are interested in entering that contest too, I mean, there's a couple of Coco entries by a couple different people already. So feel free to add to it. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for this. This is the VTech VZ200-300, which actually uses the same VDG chip that the Coco uses, so it'll look very familiar. But I think it used a Z80, if I remember, Nick, because I think we were talking about it before too.
This is the Z80.
Yep, it's a Dick Smith computer, or Dick Smith was selling him.
It used a ripoff of the Model 1 ROM, and it hacked for the 6847.
Anyway, this is a game writing competition that's been going on for half a decade already, so it's definitely got some legs to it. And it's good to see we've got pretty good Coco representation already with Jim Gary and the other guy also doing it too. So definitely keep an eye out for that to see who wins. Maybe Jim will win. This was a cool one too. Gwyn Major, who actually runs the Color Computer Archive, got an upload of a game that, as far as we know, was advertised, and the game disc image here basically is an advertisement for the game using some graphics from the game. But it's meant as kind of a demo. And as far as I know, I'd never heard of the game itself, period, before. But as far as I know, I don't think it was ever finished and released. Nick and I were going through the source code, and it was actually written by a guy in Ontario, Canada. I'll just zoom up here. It's Coco 3 only game, obviously. But some nicely done graphics. And it was going to fill 4 discs.
Oh.
That perspective's really, really well done.
Even does, you know, the color getting darker as you go in the distance, which a lot of the games did not do back then. I think Daggerath probably did it the best, but.
Oh, that's a Coco 3?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Somebody was asking about how long the demo was. Nick, there wasn't too many rooms in the demo, was there? It's like 4 or 5 or something. It's kind of.
Yeah, it's only a few.
So it'd be interesting to see if we can get a hold of the original author, see if he ever did finish it, if he still has it, or even if he still has it in its unfinished state. Maybe some of the other graphic gurus here can kind of finish it up and, you know, get the game finished. And now that we've got Coco SDC here, you could just make the image like an 80 track image, and instead of 4, you know, single-sided discs, and actually just play it off there, or even port it to Nitrous 9 and make it, you know, 120 meg long on a hard drive and make the thing like thousands of rooms or something. So. But pretty good artistry in the game. I was pretty impressed. And I think, Nick, when we looked at the notes and the comments, this was from 88 or 89 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's only within a year,
yeah.
a couple of years of the Coco 3 even coming out that he was doing all this. So.
Well, that's an older game, an older thing.
Yeah, it was a demo released in 88 or 89 from what the comments and the rems and the listing does show you. So I'm kind of curious if you ever did finish it. I don't remember seeing it at CoCoFEST or Rainbow Fest back in the day, but.
Cool.
This is another one. This is from the Dragon Group. Alana Kelly's working on a Dragon 32 basic low-res Pac-Man game, which is, she's also planning on entering into that 10-line basic contest we just showed earlier that Jim Gary's entering. She hasn't entered this one in yet. She's still working on it. But you can kind of see here, she's got the whole Pac-Man and maze set up, and it's taking the colored dots out, and the ghosts are those little red things, I think. So it's a pretty interesting version of Pac-Man, and she's going to cram it into 10 lines of basic code. So
10 lines?
Yeah. And like you said, there's multiple levels of 10 lines. There's 10 lines where you can have a maximum 80 characters per line. There's 10 lines where you can max it out to 256 characters. And then extreme 256 is, I think, when you start using weird, you know, packing techniques or maybe assembly. I can't remember. We kind of discussed this in previous years as this contest has been run.
Wow. So
different levels of it.
You'd be using a lot of colons then to.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you think spaghetti code that most people write is bad, you're wait till you see these listings.
Standard ECB is 256 characters, I think, isn't it, per line?
Yeah, but if you edit the line after the fact, you can actually get more, because once it tokenizes like print from 5 characters down to 1 token byte, you can extend the line and add a few extra bits.
Okay.
So that's what I think the extreme 256, if I remember correctly, that's what that means. Is that you're
Right.
packing it, so it's actually, if you list it, it's actually cutting it off because it's bigger than 256, but it's still part of the line.
Hmm.
So hopefully we'll be following our progress in that too. There's quite a few Coco entries coming in, at least 3 different people now, and 5 or 6 different projects minimum. Jim will probably have 5 more next week. But
so what was the shorter line? You mentioned a shorter number of characters. What was that?
80, I think, is the other one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
there's 80, 256, and then extreme 256 is the 3 levels I remember.
What was the 80? Was that on like non-extended color basic or something? Was it? Or
I think they just picked as an arbitrary one. 80 lines, so it's semi-readable if you have an 80 column terminal you're running it on.
Okay. So that was it was a figure chosen, a limit that they deliberately put on the number of characters.
10 lines of no more than 80 characters each, and then you have 10 lines of 256. And extreme 256, I think, is where you can pack it and do tricks to get a little bit past that.
Yeah, right.
I wonder what text editor that is. It looks pretty cool. It does syntax highlighting for the basic stuff.
Vim.
Oh, wow.
And actually, her comment when somebody asked what editor is that is Vim, of course. What else would I be using? Are you some kind of heretic?
That's impressive looking.
So he's got the color, syntax highlighting and stuff
Yeah,
already built
I
in.
love that. That is really useful for like assembly 6809 stuff.
Yeah, I use that Notepad++ too, even for my stuff. So
nice.
Same here.
Yep.
Next up, and I thought this was cool. I'd not seen anybody do this before. I think the closest I've seen to this before, and I've never done an adventure game, is when I try to do like the big map games like Rad Warrior. I'll try to get screenshots of every single screen and then build the web page so that it actually is organized the same way. We've seen that with Downland before too. But this person here, actually, Fred Rique, I'm not sure if that's pronouncing his name right, actually did a Coco graphical adventure game where they're actually taking the screenshots from the various rooms and how they loop around so you can kind of follow the map when you go through. This is one of the Mark Data Products adventures here. Vortex Factor in this particular case. It's probably a little bit hard to read because there's a lot of stuff in here in pretty small pictures, but it kind of explains what you should do and where do you start in the game and whether you got one-way passages you got. In this particular case, there's cartridge colors because you can manipulate the time machine depending on the cartridges you get. So it's kind of a nice map, and it's visual too. So you can even just, if you're playing the game next to this, you can recognize the scene you're looking at instantly without having to remember what the heck room am I in and know where you are in the map. I thought that was pretty innovative. I've never seen anybody really do that before for a Coco game. So I would like to see him do more of these. There's a lot of Mark Data games. There's the Datasoft games like Dallas Quest and Sands of Egypt. And
I wish he'd do something like that for Legend of Zelda, the Zelda clone. That'd be cool to have a whole map of the different levels and what leads where. That'd be cool.
I do have a complete map of Gates of Delirium, which is the DICOM Ultima 2-3 clone.
Oh.
And there's multiple maps. There's dungeon maps. There's a World 1 map, World 2 map, and town maps and everything else. It's extensive. I still have to put that on my website at one of these days here because I downloaded it from whoever did it originally years ago, and their site went bye-bye, but I actually downloaded the entire thing as an archive, so I have the entire thing intact. So at some point when I put the Gates of Delirium entry up there, I'll have to link that whole thing in there too so people can see how extensive that map was because it was huge.
Probably a lot of work to just take screenshot after screenshot and just map it out like that, I would guess.
Well, if it's a tile-based system like Zelda is, or Gates of Delirium or Seventh Link or something like that, if you can read the map files and figure out where the tile data is for the actual graphics, you can actually just make your own mapping drawing program that just does the whole world at once rather than one screen.
But
that's what the guy with Gates of Delirium did.
But you wouldn't know what led where unless you're actually playing the game and to actually connect all the arrows and show like the paths, right?
Well, it depends. If you make one big honking map of the entire world, then it would kind of imply itself like every 16 by 16 block would be a representation of whatever screen you're on or whatever, showing where the exits are, and then you could actually make a big map doing it. Kind of like I did with Rad Warrior, where I just took this. Well, I did screenshots. I didn't actually write the tile thing, but that Gauntlet 2 editor we showed a couple months ago kind of is like that. It actually reads the tile map and reads the actual graphics for the tiles, and then just kind of draws a smaller representation to show you the whole level at once. So there's a couple ways to do it, but yeah.
That's clever.
Hope to see more of them from Fred though, because that's a pretty cool one. And he said it kind of cryptically, here's one of the maps I made. So obviously he's done a few more. So I'd like to see the other ones. This just happened this morning. Diego actually released Dock Master, which I incorrectly spelled Dock and Master in my notes for some stupid reason. Don't ask me. You can correct that, Mark, before you paste it.
No problem.
So we just showed this game last week actually on the show again because he's basically had it done. So now he's got his web page up. You can go in and download it. You can download the manual. He's got screenshots of the various parts of the gameplay, the little bonus screens, etc. Source code if you want to figure out how it works or modify it. And he also did a full manual in PDF format, which I'll skip to over here. So this is the manual, and he kind of fancied it up with some Radio Shack logos and stuff in there too. And he has little jokes in here, like it says, all left's reserved, all the above is mostly bull. If anything, the game and manual are copyrighted in 2020, and kind of made it a little bit fun to read.
It really looks like it could be straight out of the 80s, little booklet you get with the game.
Yep.
It's really cool.
And I think he was going with that specifically. And, explanation of how to play the game and what the different colors mean, and quite well done. And just literally released this morning. So if you guys don't have it yet, go grab it. Coco 1 and 2 compatible, of course. Extended basic required, and I think 32K required, if I remember. And last, this was a cool one. I think we can have a brief discussion on it if you guys want to. Simon Hardy in the Dragon group posted a rather interesting poll in the Facebook group asking people to list the best Dragon games with their category, whether it's an arcade or a platform or a RPG or text adventure or whatever. And this is the current results as of when I loaded the page a few hours ago. So right now, the best platform game is Chucky Egg with 18 plus votes, or I guess 21 total. Lunar Rover Patrol is in the lead for arcade, but Buzzard Bait's not far behind it. Those people are just wrong.
Team Buzzard Bait.
Vindicated. Yes. Represent.
And then Donkey King the King. I thought it was pretty interesting. And it would probably be an interesting poll to do in the Coco side, especially since some of the games are in common. You know, would we view the same games as being as popular in North America and Australia as they were in Europe and the UK? Because we do know that, you know, some games, and I know the Amigos have discussed this a lot because they deal with a lot of games that were done in Europe for the Amiga and for some of the other platforms, more so than we normally do. And there is definitely a separation of what one geographical region considers to be the best platformer versus what a different geographical region considers the best platformer, or, you know, this best fighting game or whatever else. They definitely have some differences, I guess, based on culture as to what they find best in the game.
That's also what we call why Curtis is wrong about Buzzard Bait.
No, you're
That's
you're
a whole
just incorrect
show.
there.
We need a month of shows for that.
We'll save that for the November, you know, month of jousting, which Nick's already planning. So, but anyway, given the list of the ones here, now some of these were Dragon releases, some of these were releases on both the Coco and the Dragon. I was wondering on the panel here for you game players out there. Agree with some of these, like the best arcade game being Lunar Rover Patrol ahead of Donkey King. You know, Chucky Egg being the best platform ahead of Manic Miner, etc. What do you guys think of their choices so far?
Chucky Egg was really popular in Europe, but you know, that wasn't a thing when we were kids over here. So
yeah, and that's getting into that whole, you know, geographical regions have their own flavor of what they like. You know, like for example, for the Australians on the panel here,
definitely wasn't as good as Lancer.
Well, exactly.
Oh, please.
But for like for our Australian friends here that are on the panel, David and
the
Nick,
arcade.
David and Nick, what would you guys say? Like, I think your tastes are probably more in line with North America than they were with Europe, as far as
yeah, more North America.
But was there some differences there too, where certain games in Australia were really popular that up here weren't, and vice versa?
Oh, not really. No, we were very much the same as the US.
Yeah,
is that your experience too, David? Or
Australia is very much influenced by the US. Has been for quite a number of decades now. So yeah, I would certainly second that.
See, that kind of surprised me because you guys were, you know, from England originally. You guys kind of came straight from there and not through the States type thing. I won't get into the whole history thing, but
another whole show.
Yeah, I think prior to the 80s, I suppose there was more of a UK influence on Australia, but from the 80s on, it sort of seemed to be that American culture was very much a big influence on Australia. I think maybe with the music and everything, like on the weekly
TV
radio
music,
shows, we had Casey Kasem doing the American Top 40. That was our Top 40 we had as teenagers. So
we had Countdown.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I'm talking about radio. You know, like Eon FM,
radio,
FM and all that. Yeah. So,
that's interesting. Then we should get like Ben Drakes and some of our UK and European friends, Simon and a few others, to say.
Does anyone actually know the Ring of Darkness?
I think that was one of the ones I showed on one of the Pets Ask Jim videos way back when. It's not a game I was familiar with before seeing it, and I don't remember the details off the top of my head now because there's several hundred of those. But but yeah, we should try to get some of the people from Europe, you know, the Simons and the Ben Drakes, etc., to see if they can even send in emails or comment on the Facebook group here and just kind of give their 2 cents too as to how different the what was considered to be the best games were between the two geographical regions on the exact same hardware.
And also what was available, if they remembered other ones being available, but they weren't, as popular as others.
How many Cuthbert games were there? It's like
well, there were some original Cuthbert games that were in England that basically only showed up there, and then there was other ones where they just took, and rebranded ones that were from North America, like Cuthbert in the Jungle was Trapfall, for example.
Oh, we here in Australia, I mean, if the computers were American computers, we tended to follow the American side of things. Like we were into Tandy, say, so we followed Tandy Radio Shack in the US and saw software from the US. We didn't see so much Dragon stuff.
But you guys did have a unique Australian market, because you and Craig Stewart both got to sell games through Tandy that we never saw up here until they came through third party.
Yeah, well, they were Australian programs. Mainly that happened more towards the later part of the 80s, mid to late 80s. Tandy here started trying to recruit a few local programs. But looking at the bigger market, though, I mean, if you're into Tandies, you followed the American market more.
Yep.
Yeah. Spectrums and BBCs were available here, and I guess people who followed those probably followed more a British market.
Yeah,
but
that's
but we were into Tandies, so we followed that.
Yeah. And the ironic thing is, the Tandies, especially the Coco 1 and 2, was sold in the UK. I don't think it sold as well as the Dragon did, but it was available there. And games were marketed as being for both. You get a cassette that says Dragon 32 and Coco 1-2 compatible on the same case.
Well, I think some programs, were they sold in Tandy stores even? No, I'm not sure.
That I'm not sure. If Ben or somebody was in chat, maybe they can tell us. But
yeah.
Hey, Curtis.
Yep.
Hey, since you're mentioning the UK and everything, I just want to give you guys a little teaser too. I've been bouncing a few Facebook messages back and forth with Richard Harding from the Dragon Group.
Mm-hmm.
And he's invited us to do kind of like a across the pond stream when they're going to do their Dragon meetup in July. So they're going to try to have some people there on Zoom bringing us some of that event. So that'll be kind of cool,
Cool.
Oh, cool. I look forward to that. I'll join that.
Yep. Let's leverage that.
Definitely.
Cool.
And that's all I have for news.
Okay, well, why don't we take a commercial break and come back? And I think if we still have Ron Deveau on the panel, he has some VDG, not VDG, but Coco VGA stuff to talk about. And then we have Nick's acquisitions, and we'll be right back after these messages.
CoCoTALK will return after these messages.
Hello, I'm David Ladd. Thank you for watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading live CoCoTALK show.
Hey, have you got your Coco 3 yet? Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and you've tuned into CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer.
What's going on, everybody? Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and if you're a fan of vintage computing and retro gaming, then you're going to love our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. There you will find custom designs by Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. You can get I'm a Coconut, CoCoTALK, and other cool video game images on a t-shirt, coffee mug, or mouse pad. So if you love retro, then head on over to the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com today. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Noble, co-author of Nitrous 9. You are listening to CoCoTALK Live, the leading live CoCoTALK show.
G'day mates, this is Nick Marionettes, author of such color computer titles as Donut Disaster, Rupert Rhymes, and Rockstar Pilot. And I am here today to tell you about the world's most fabulous operating system, OS 9. OS 9 and its current incarnation Nitrous 9 is the most advanced operating system ever created. And what makes it so good? Ease of use. I find OS 9 so incredibly intuitive that I haven't once cracked open the user manual, and yet I've been able to create such incredible games faster than the time it takes to sing Waltzing Matilda.
Using OS 9, I expect my next game, Funstar, will be done this weekend and distributed exclusively on ROM cartridge. OS 9 forever.
Any resemblance to actual events to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This is not the Joey cereal switch. This is the Joey cereal switch. Control up to 3 cereal devices. Order yours today at cocoman.biz.
What's going on, everybody? The Original Gamer Stevie Stroh here, and I want to talk to you about I'mACoconut.com. If you love the color computer like I love the color computer, then you got to visit I'mACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all of your Tandy color computer links needs. There you'll find links to blogs and podcasts and project sites and emulators and downloads and groups and communities. If you love the color computer, head on over to I'mACoconut.com. That's IMACoconut.com. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Stroh sent you. Coco forever, people.
ESP 8266-01, RS-232, TTL Wi-Fi network, 4-pin DIN, Fitbanger, DB9, PC IP, DriveWire.
Hi, I'm Kieran Anscombe, author of XRAW, and your brain is resolving sensory input into CoCoTALK.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Oh, I remember that Christmas. Dad gave me my first shortwave radio from Radio Shack. What memories. This Christmas, we got our son's Color Computer 3 from Radio Shack. It hooks right up to our TV and was on sale for less than $130. The Color Computer 3 makes learning fun. Jimmy even lets me use it for word process when he isn't playing computer games. Lucky I still got my shortwave.
Save $70 on the sale-priced Color Computer 3, only at Radio Shack.
Hi, it's Ron Delvo, Timberman, and this is CoCoTALK.
A boomerang memory board. BoysOnTech.com production.
They came for us in broad daylight. Hungry. Wanting. More memory, they said. More power. Proper design at an affordable price. We took shelter. They were unstoppable. They're coming back for more.
In 2019, what goes around comes around. Boomerang 512 Classic, $15, 2 megabytes for $49. Available now. Boomerang Mania is real.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment cost, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
We now return you to CoCoTALK.
When you hear that disco music, you know it's time for Ron Delvo.
Get funky.
Get funky in Ron Delvaux's garage.
Is there like shag carpet in his garage?
It says start sharing screen will stop other participants' computer
That's right.
sound.
Well, with today's rising entertainment costs, Ron DeVille's garage
ahead
is
and
a
hit
great
yes,
value.
or-
Go ahead and share, Ron. Take it away with Ron's garage.
Okay.
Share away.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We can hear
Ronnie,
you.
can you hear me?
We
Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
I can see it.
Okay. There's a bunch of pictures taken by that new viewer.
So these are the 16 color 128 by 96 VG6 special mode on the Coco VG.
Yep. That's my car.
Chrysler, of course.
Naturally. Amy.
Amy, hey, Amy.
Buzz Aldrin on the moon.
I thought it was buzzard bait.
Flag.
Not a
Come
real
out pretty
game.
good. Yep. Hal.
No belief.
I'm afraid I
Kangaroo.
can't
Eclipse.
do that.
Lunar eclipse. My garage.
Nice.
Star Trek. Yeah,
Pretty
some of these come out real great. Some of them are This come out pretty good.
Kind of like this show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. TDP 100.
So what,
So these
what
were all
resolution?
sorry.
198 128 by 96.
It looks kind of familiar.
By
Is the
96.
eclipse
right.
picture taken with your telescope?
Yeah, it's a couple of them were. Yep. This is my
Nice.
car. Mopar. Yeah. Mopar. Dragon. CoCoTALK, which we are on. CoCoTALK new version. Coco VGA, and this is what it's all about. Guess who? Guess who digital?
The paper towel guy.
A copper charger. My doggy. My wife.
So these all converted with the Ed's utility.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So Jeremy
That's
Landry
it.
has to use flickering to get more colors, or how does it work? Or are they static? That'd be palette shifting probably with flickering.
I don't think they're.
No, the Coco VGA
No, it's
has
just
extra
VG6.
colours.
Coco yeah,
No.
it's native
These
Coco
are not.
VGA.
Right, this is a Coco VGA, not what he may be getting confused with. If the Coco 3 did it, there was some software than Coco 3 you could do.
Oh, right.
No,
Colors
one's
with
different.
flickering.
Yeah, Curtis says it's 128 by 96 by 16 colors, so 4 bits for each pixel.
From a palette of whatever.
Yeah, either 512 or 32768, depending on which version
Yeah.
of the Coco VGA you have.
Yeah. That's not bad, is it? I mean, that's a Coco 1, you know? That's the thing.
Neo approves.
It's a Coco
Better,
1.
better than green.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Star
actually
Trek
colors.
looks pretty good.
Yeah. And then I did some art on the
Color
Coco
Max.
Max, yeah. And you know, this is a Coco Gallery program Facebook thing, so I figured what the heck. And yeah, just played around with, imported a picture and then fixed some junk,
looks
you
good.
know. Yeah, it come out okay. And yeah, you know, we couldn't do this. Even this is Coco 3, and that's using high color. And then there's just that's the original, and this is on the Coco 3, I think. Yeah. Yep. It come out good. I noticed when you're doing this, if it's high contrast, like this is, this come out real well. My son playing guitar. I mean, that looks just like a picture. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
That's cool.
if you go, let's see, the guy that made, the guy had a program that made JPEGs, can make JPEGs work on a Coco 3. Where is it? That's down a ways. Oh, that's in a program. I think it might be in OS9. I'm not sure. This is a picture.
Oh,
see
Marty
it.
from Back to the Future. That's looked really good.
What?
Great Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where?
Up right there, Marty McFly.
Yeah.
That looks.
Yeah.
That looks straight out of like a VHS tape.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, some of this
Really good.
yep. Ghostbusters logo. That was using the this is using the DS69. And back in the day that was awesome, even as crappy as it looks now. But here's the guy, Michael Klein. He made a program that takes JPEGs and converts them. But it uses a whole DSK.
How long does it take? Because doesn't JPEGs use compression and all kinds of algorithms? It's going to be.
Yeah, it takes a little while, but it makes 4 files. 3 of them are frames, and one's the program to show it.
Huh.
Something like that. Anyway, that's it, guys. If you ever get a chance and you're messing with this, I think Mr. Laurie, whatever your first name is, what is it?
John Laurie.
John, yeah. Post some of your stuff that if you're screwing around with it, post them here if they come out nice. You know, it'd be cool. Now, how do I go back? Let's see.
That green moped looks really good.
Stop share. Okay, did I stop?
You did.
All right, great.
You did.
It worked. Yay! I have very tenuous internet because I'm using a stupid little, one of these here.
Wi-Fi dongle.
Yeah. And so it's not high bandwidth. I plug it in sometimes, but today I was lazy. So.
Well, Nick Marotta, do you want to share your acquisitions?
Yeah. So it was a great week for me. Back when I was looking for a speech sound pack a few months ago, somebody had posted that they were getting rid of some Coco stuff, and I messaged him and asked him, how much you wanted to sell it for or whatever, and didn't really hear back from him. So then a few days ago, he was looking for me. He said, I remember somebody, because he's in the same town as I am, and he said, I remember I was talking to somebody, and if you're still interested in the Coco stuff, I've got some things to get rid of. And Curtis sent me a tickler message in Discord to say, somebody's looking for you. And so I got in touch with him, and yeah, he was looking to get rid of the stuff and give it to somebody who would appreciate it and not, not just hoard or whatever. And so I got a Coco 3, which I won't show you because you've all seen Coco 3s, but I got a Coco 3. Got a deluxe joystick. I got a Black Beauty with a metal stick, which I've never ever had before.
Ooh, the original
metal stick.
Cool.
Never had one of those before.
That's the one you can unscrew the top and put a little bit of something like silly putty or something and make it soft. You can use it as what I used to call the shotgun joystick.
That's right.
Cut off shotguns, so you could actually just use your thumb like a thumbstick.
I'm gunning for your scores, Curtis. That's it. I got a Coco mouse.
Nice.
Oh, the deluxe mouse too. The 2-button.
I'm jealous. I want one of those.
What else? I got honey, please, can you help me with with this budget? So I'm all set.
Get right on that.
It's right up there with color script set.
I'm losing. Hello, can we focus? Focus. There we go. Dungeons of Daggerath cartridge, which is one of the ones I wanted.
In the box.
In the box. Malcolm Mortar in the blister pack. Actually, Rad
That's
Warrior.
Rad Warrior.
Pack. Sorry. And the price in the back. And Malcolm Mortar in the blister pack, which I actually used to have as a kid.
I actually have that cartridge too.
So I got those in boxes. I also got Football 2 Loose, which I never played. 2 Pitfall Loose, Downland.
What about the new math tutor?
Dexter. And then The thing that made me
Color
the most
scripted.
yeah, I already have color scripted. The thing that made me the most excited, I had to move my MC10 to a place of prominence because I now have on my Coco.
Is it in the holding up your window?
No.
Door
Focus.
stops?
I have a multi-pack interface on my Coco.
Nice.
Came.
That was a nice score.
It came in box.
Wow.
Very nice.
Don't see those often.
And I got all this stuff for cheaper than I bought one of my Coco 3s for.
And that
How
included
much
the
would you
Coco
pay?
3.
Don't answer yet.
And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he was happy to sell all this stuff for
So next week you eat. This week you do not.
That's right. You know, it's worth it. So now I have my audio spectrum analyzer permanently in the MPI, so I can use my Coco 2 as a VU meter.
Spam and PJBs.
So, Nick, you told him that you're serious about the color computer and that you actually do stuff with it every week?
He actually, he has a user ID in our Facebook page. Like he's been on our Facebook page.
Gotcha.
So he's,
Does he
so
know
he's
Is he gonna regret this?
Probably not.
no. He's a
Yeah,
good
good
guy.
thing to let him know about all this after he just got rid of all his stuff.
No, I'm sure he knows how much it was worth. I mean, he's being a nice guy. So I mean.
No, I mean about the active community.
Oh.
Now, did he keep any Coco stuff, or is this all the stuff he got rid of?
No, he still had more stuff. He had a CM8, which I did not really have room for.
Did it have the door?
Yes.
Oh,
You should have picked it up. That's worth its weight in gold.
Just the door.
Should have made that.
I don't know what else
$12
he
for the
had.
door.
I think he had like Coco Max, a couple other things, but I pretty much cleaned them out.
You might see if other people are interested in his other stuff, and then you can use it for trading stock.
Yeah. So yeah, I was actually.
That's a very
quite
cool
thrilled.
acquisition, see?
And it goes with what somebody was asking in the chat room before about how expensive a Coco 3 is. Well, if you get lucky, and you can pick up a whole block like this, and I'm assuming you didn't pay $700 for all this, did you?
No.
How much would you pay? Don't answer yet.
If you weren't a member of the board, I might tell you how much I paid, but I kind of feel weird about saying that with him being on Facebook, so I'm not going to say how much, but it was a really good deal.
Under 700 though.
Yes.
Can you say it like in a cough?
Can you say it binary?
$100.
Dollars.
Is it less than 3?
See you later, guys. I got to fly.
Cap your
See ya.
hoof.
No, it was.
Bye.
It was,
All right.
it was more. It was 3 digits.
3 digits.
Was it bigger than a bread box?
Zero.
And this is in dollars, not cents. You're talking your 3 digits, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you don't use pennies.
So cough when we reach the number 100, 101, 102.
Here we go.
Just wink the number of the amount that you paid. We'll wait.
I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
Huh.
Can we just go offline for a minute, everybody?
We've already done that twice today.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we've done that enough. Thanks.
Gosh.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
But he was very nice. He's a very nice guy, and I really appreciate that. That he was. He, like I said, he wanted to give it to somebody who would appreciate it and not just turn around and flip it and actually get use out of it.
So next week's game is personal finance too.
That's right. Honey, please help me with my budget.
You can take
So Nick, do you have enough Coco 3s now?
I'll throw it at her.
You'll go far, Fletcher.
Yes,
Nick,
it's gonna be a 6309.
So this is the one. This is the one you're going to get upgraded to Meg and 639.
Yep.
How many Coco 3s now? There's 3?
Yeah, one's a total spare, and then.
How's the condition of the yellowing?
I have to clean it a bit. It's a little bit. It looks like it may have been in a bit of an environment. So, that's why I asked on the Facebook page how to clean a Coco case.
But you did get a green screen and everything's good?
Yep.
Good.
So.
Boy, it must make you feel great.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I really wanted the multi-pack, and I really wanted the Coco and
the personal finance too.
and everything, and personal. Yeah, well, you thought personal finance 1 was good. Wait until you see this time it's personal.
They usually say the sequels aren't as good.
Get it? I just made that up.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm so proud of myself.
It's good.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's it, huh? For a week.
I've peaked.
Yeah, can't top that one.
So when are you planning on getting your upgrades done then? Because you've got a local guy there that can help you do the actual.
Yeah, Mr. Dave. Mr. Dave's going to do it. We just have to arrange it. We just have to arrange to do it.
Because I know you were really leery about doing it before when you only had the one spare. Like if this one went
Yes.
wrong, then you were.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I was gonna think. I originally wanted to get like a second Coco 3 to just do modifications to, because the one I have is actually like my childhood one. So there's like a lot of sentimentalness for that. So like I was leery about modifying it, but I did. So that's all good. So that's cool that you got those.
That's funny because my childhood computer was a Apple IIe, and I modified the heck out of it. I mean, I bought all kinds of stuff for it.
Same thing with my original Coco 1. I've did so many mods to that back in the day. It was Mod City, and it is now too. Still is now. It's really cool that we can get back into this and do modern mods. I keep saying that on the show, but it really is just fantastic.
Yeah, like I was even like I didn't want to. I bought one of those 2 megabyte logos for it, but I was like, I didn't want to damage the original one because again, my childhood Coco. But I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. I think just go all out and modify it. Let's have some fun.
Well, that was something that was different, I think, with the Coco in general compared to some of the other 8-bits of the time, like the Atari and the Commodores, is that we had a much more active hardware community that did these mods. I mean, all the Coco magazines, Rainbow, CCN, all the rest, they always had hardware mods. Like here, pull out your ROM and reprogram it, and add in a composite circuit and an inverse video circuit, reroute the reset button, all this stuff. We had tons of them. There was tons of third-party boards from ABUS, et cetera, that were selling all kinds of timers and interrupt controllers and all kinds of stuff too. So I think the Coco always has been a hacker's machine much more than the other 8-bits at the time.
Yeah, except for maybe the
my first Coco 1 had 128K and switching software to store programs on it, except for when you turn it off, it was a little disappointing.
That was the big thing that drew me to the Coco. The Coco was the being an electronics guy myself and an experimenter and a hacker and whatnot, and the hardware community and the fact that it was so hardware tweakable and there was just so much you could do with it. That's one of the big draw cards for me. Still is one of the big draw cards for me today.
They're really doing all those upgrades now is the Coco 3 coming into its own, what it's meant, what it was meant to be for.
Hey Todd, thanks for that program. Todd, thanks for that program.
Yeah,
it was great. It's up on my machine right here right now.
I saw that representing over there. That's awesome.
Yes, sir. I wanted somebody to do that a long time ago. We talked about it on CoCoTALK, and I said, wouldn't it be cool to have all these things on there? You put your SDC in another machine and run it, and there you can see what you have without having to try and remember if that's an old gimme or not, or whatever.
Exactly. It's just I don't know. I think I said in the video that my friend showed me the system information script called NeoFetch, and it kind of had that similar design. And it was just I ran it and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. This would be awesome for like a text mode Coco 3 thing. And then I started trying to figure out how to detect the different things, and you guys on Discord really helped explain the process about detecting a 6309 and other stuff. But it was really just kind of for fun, and also like I thought maybe some people might find it useful, and then I thought some people might just find it interesting to run once and be like, wow, that's pretty, and then and then move on to the next thing. So it was a lot of fun to do. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer.
Is it I've downloaded it, but I haven't actually run it on my Coco. I still got it on my phone, downloaded on that. Is it a machine language or basic or
100% machine language?
Okay.
So how would you make that come up when you boot the machine, and then when you hit instead of going to basic, have it go to the SDC menu?
So there's a couple different ways you could do it. There's the SDC has a thing where it will there's a file on the
Auto
root
exec.
yeah.
Auto-
There's a file on the root directory of your SD card that will point it to a disk image of your choice, and then it'll auto mount that disk image, and then try and run a program called autoexec.bas. And basically, you can make that basic program do whatever you want. You can load a machine language program. You can run a program, a script, whatever. So that's what I would do is put that sysinfo disk image on your SD card.
Just make an SD card, a 1 gig SD card that has just that. Swap it in when you need it.
Yeah, you could exactly. And then there's the Coco SDC has a manual that kind of explains how to set an auto launch. But then you can also get really fancy. I could like make a ROM version and then you just flash it to a ROM bank, and then there would not even be any DOS loading. It would just instantly execute off the ROM, but that would be a little more.
Yeah, I thought maybe I put it on my SDCX DSK, and then I was going to take auto exec bat or auto exec BAS and change that to load M that and then colon exec, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, just load the autoexec.bas program and just have the program say 10 load M sysinfo, and then just it'll automatically run that program. And so
it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Mine didn't.
Oh.
I tried that first, and then I tried a colon, after sysinfo.bin colon exec, and it wouldn't do it either.
Okay, well, I don't want to hijack the show, but like afterwards, like
I'm learning.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm happy to walk you through figuring it out, because that would actually be really cool to just take your SD card and have it just pop it in any machine.
Are you on Discord?
Yes.
So we
Under
have a
Lord
group,
Dragon,
We have a
just in
group.
case.
We have a group there for the Coco SDC. I think it'd be really cool to share tips and tricks for
yeah, that's a good
the
idea.
autoexec.bas and things like that.
Todd, do you have any plans on making a Coco 1.2 compatible version too for people? I mean, some people are upgrading, CPUs and stuff in there now too. So
Yeah, so Stevie had mentioned that on the Facebook group, and I could absolutely. At first, I was like, there's really no gimme in there, and there's not as many RAM upgrades, and I thought it would just be boring because it wouldn't be a lot to detect. But in the conversation we were having, like there actually is a significant amount of stuff that would be useful. Like you said, the CPU,
6309s, and yeah.
Yep, or just the ROM version.
Can you detect for VGA?
Huh?
No,
VGA?
CoCoVGA unfortunately is not detectable. We've talked to
No.
Brendan about that.
And there's a couple other things.
T1.
Can you detect that though, Nick?
Oh, I don't know. I thought there might have been, but
And I was talking earlier on Discord with, I forget who it was, but he was saying that like I could even like get even more specific, like detecting what firmware the SDC has, or what version, or like detecting
like what version of Color Basic, what version of Extended Basic, etc.
Right.
You could do that too.
Or even like a memory upgrade. Like, is it a boomerang? Is it a triad? Like, there may be little clever ways to sort of figure that out. Maybe not, but it's just there's some cool ideas that people are mentioning. So it sort of started out as something fun, but it actually turned into a really cool project that we could all kind of.
Well, the version I got from you says I'm a male and left-handed, which is amazing because I didn't know. It would...
Yeah, I mean, that's some pretty sophisticated detection right there. I mean, I'm not saying I put a lot of work into that. So yeah.
The version I've got here is apparently got a Dave detector. It just keeps on saying, "Oh, Dave's not him."
So does it really?
And if you wave your hand over it, it can tell if you have an MC10, like we discussed earlier on the show.
Oh. Someone on Discord said, "Oh, maybe now you can add it so it'll detect whether or not your CM8 has a door on it or not."
Oh, and that's cool.
I said that'd be pointless because that doesn't exist. So
what am I doing right now?
You are
making the program go in and out.
You are pulling.
Okay, moving on. So Todd, as far as the software goes, how hard would it be for you to put like both the Coco 1, 2, and 3 stuff all together so that it could be in like a ROM cartridge if you wanted to make a quick dirty diagnostic cartridge just to throw it in, turn it on, and run it?
That's totally doable. Lost Wizard was telling me that it's pretty easy to detect whether or not you have a Coco 3 or not. And I bet that would be the first thing I would do, was figure out what kind of machine it is, and then it would just be a different kind of place in the program that it would do it. But that's that. I don't see why I couldn't. So that'll be something to.
Yeah, because I know from Darren Atkinson, when he did the Coco SDC firmware, he's doing some trick to detect for the Coco 1 presence that isn't available in the Coco 2s. That uses, I think, the how the analog switch works.
Oh.
And therefore, that's how he detects that he needs to be running in the 38400 mode for drive wire without you needing to tell it, because it knows that it's a Coco 1.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What would be good is also a joystick testing program. Just have it so it looks at both ports. So if you have your joysticks in, you can make sure they cover all the axes and all the positions.
So is it obvious if there's no joysticks connected, will your output be a recognized pattern?
Well, it may not. I'm not sure what value you get when you don't have a joystick, but it's not so much. Yeah, it's not so much to detect whether you have a joystick. It's just to get the readings so you can graphically represent it. So if you have no joystick, obviously the readings are not going to move at all.
Yeah, no joy.
That would actually
no joy, exactly.
Like after the information is listed on the main page, I could put like a button where you press D for diagnostic mode, and then it would, just like you said, Nick, it would it would start examining stuff, and you could test joysticks and maybe even like serial input output, so you'd see if anything's connected. And that's actually this is pretty cool. It's a good idea.
Yeah, because I mean, Radio Shack did a diagnostic cartridge, but they did it at the very first generation Coco, so it only recognizes 4 and 16K. Has no idea about 32 or 64. Like they just never finished it afterwards. And having something like working all 3 Cocos, and like you said, you can detect the joysticks. Like a lot of these digital joystick adapters we've got now, we've been finding that some of these joysticks don't let you go all the way to the left or all the way to the top left corner. So you can use that to diagnose, okay, does this particular one plug in and work properly?
Cool.
I would pay as much as $10 for this item.
So would I. You can even do a keyboard diagnostic.
That's pop star money.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like a Nicholas Marenti's number 2.
I could put like an image of like the Coco keyboard, and then like it would highlight each key, and you would have to press it, and it would make sure that key's functional.
Wow.
You can even make it smart enough to register that if certain keys are not working, it can figure out like this line on the ribbon Mylar cable probably has a break in it. You need to fix it.
Or maybe I could even measure the debounce level of the keys. No, I'm kidding. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, you know how people do math to tell whether or not you have a bad chip on an older Coco? Just by
like a RAM chip?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can graphically represent that depending on which bits are stuck or not stuck. Yeah.
Right.
RAM test. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot about hardware from that.
I'm sorry. Chip 3 is malfunctioning.
Welcome to Feature Creep.
Yes.
Your program will never be done, but it'll be fun.
But just enter these 3 ROM packs into your MPI.
It'll be like version infinity, because there is no version. It just goes on forever.
I foresee a GitHub account to where people can give suggestions on new areas now.
Don't do it.
And there's actually more I wanted to put in it, when I sort of posted it for people to check out. But I have a bad habit of, like you said, feature creep, and there's all this stuff I want to do, and then I never have a finished product at all. So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to put a 1.0 version out there, and just for fun, and then I can always add to it later. So
That's exactly what we do with Nitrous 9. That's why they're all called betas.
Yeah, I thought about putting like alpha, but no, that's cool. But I'm glad. I'm really psyched that a lot of people found it cool or interesting, and that's, I think, encouraging all these other great
Absolutely.
ideas. Huh?
Glad you're
Yeah,
on here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Should come on more often.
Yeah.
Always welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
When I saw it on Facebook, I thought, oh man, and they didn't post it anywhere. And then I thought, well, I'll just look in files, and there it was.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
Originally, I did a link to the zip file right in the post, but I don't know if like Facebook filters those kinds of things. So I figured I just upload it to the group too, and that way.
And the other thing I want to ask you guys is why do you guys post stuff as files in a zip? I mean, today we don't have any space problems, do we? What's the reason?
I think it's more to keep it intact, so that the file structure stays.
If there's
No.
more in the file.
The actual,
if you have to create subdirectories and stuff, if you don't put in a zip, you have to give instructions like you put this file here, make this directory, put this file here. So you don't have to do any of that.
The reason people put disk images in the zip file is most browsers won't know what kind of file it is, and they'll try and display it as text. So instead of clicking the link and just getting a file download to your downloads directory, it'll just give you, garbled ASCII in your browser.
Yeah, good point.
So that's why they just put it in a zip, and that way it's a recognized thing, and you just unzip it. It's annoying, but that's
File Manager does the same thing.
And Ron, there's the other thing. Some of us are still on dial-up or slow DSL connections, so we still
really
zipped.
Every byte counts. Every byte counts.
Back in my day.
The zip link on Facebook worked fine for me. That's where I got it from.
Cool. But yeah, that was fun. I may or may not have spent way too much time on the layout and colors to make it super pretty looking.
No, it's fine.
It doesn't.
I've heard good comments about it.
And when you put at the bottom, special thanks to William Assel, L. Curtis Boyle, Dave Phillipson, and everyone on Discord. That includes me.
That does.
Oh,
That was awesome.
Yes, you did say that.
I
I
couldn't fit Ron Delvaux, David Lack,
Right. Hey, did you guys mention Discord at all? I know that was one of the things I was hopefully going to be able to talk about. Did we talk about Discord?
We
Not,
didn't,
just in
Stevie.
passing, not anything specific.
We didn't, Stevie. We could do that a one-on-one on Discord right now, if you'd like.
Well, I don't have anything prepared to show, but maybe we can just mention the fact that Discord has kind of become the best kept secret. It's this kind of counterculture. I think we've got like over 2,000 people on Facebook, which is great. I'm sure they're not all active, but it's a big number. But we've got over 400 people now on Discord, and Discord is pretty active for the people that are there. And there's so many categories, and I call most of the area of Discord kind of like the dark web, because you're talking about really scary things like hardware and software and programming and stuff, and it's like way over my head. But there's just so many areas of Discord, and like Lord Dragon's saying, it's a great place to get help. And I'm not saying this is better or worse than anything else like the mailing list or Facebook, but it's just another resource. And I think it's become almost a go-to place because it's near real time. You can put it, it's not organized, so it's not a forum, but you can put out a question about assembly or hardware, and you're going to get responses from dozens of people that are all very knowledgeable and very helpful. And a lot of times these conversations are taking place almost like a chat room where it says bing, 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 and things are getting hashed out. So it's become an incredible resource for us. It's one of the few go-to things we have now, like the mailing list. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of the mailing list, and that's just me. To me, the mailing list is it's just like a white paper. I like pretty pictures. I like magazines that are glossy. It's not that it's right or wrong. It's what people's preferences are. And the mailing list is not my cup of tea. Facebook is nice, but Facebook is also kind of hard to search. And I'm not saying Discord's any easier, but it just seems like things get done there. So I'm thank you for giving us a shout out there in in your thing there. And I'm glad that you were able to get that help. And there's lots of people there who are able to be helped. I know we talk about it. I don't think we plug it a lot, but we really should. I think there's a link in the description to this video to our Discord server. And if you're not already there, you ought to come by and check it out. You know, there's fun things going on there, and there's some serious things going on there, and things get done, questions get answered, people get
We
help.
should do, and I think you've mentioned this before, Steve. We should do a demo of Discord, like what's available. Even have a sample, you know, audio or video call, or a, you know, shared video type thing.
Yeah,
sometimes done just to show people what it actually is capable of doing.
Next
week. Keep in mind, there's people chatting there several times a week.
You talking about the voice chats?
Yes.
Oh, daily, nightly, several times a day. Yeah.
That's one thing I really like about Discord is the fact that, like on Facebook, people have got Facebook Messenger and stuff. I've never downloaded the Facebook Messenger app. I don't like it. I don't want a bunch of 500,000 people coming in and just nagging me day or night. And Discord is perfect for that because it's a group of specific people who are there for a specific purpose. And there's a really good chat. You can do voice calls. You can talk to somebody, and I just find it so much easier for real-time chat. If I need to talk to somebody in real time, I say, "Oh, you're on Discord? Go over there, and we'll do a do a private chat."
I kind of have the similar rule. Like when people start texting me, if I've had to exchange a text dialogue more than 3 or 4 times, at that point in my mind, this has become a conversation, and I'd rather speak to you on the phone than to continue to text back and forth. And you can kind of do that with Discord. You know, you can start off with a textual conversation and then say, you know what, let's, and you can do direct voice calls where I could just, me and Todd, or excuse me, Lord Dragon, we could, your Majesty,
Todd is fine.
I prostrate myself beneath you.
Oh,
but
that is not necessary. Well,
but you know, we could be chatting and I could say, hey, Lord Dragon, I'm just going to call you right now, and you and I could just have a direct voice conversation and hash
Discord
things
is
out.
awesome.
It's great. It's a great resource.
You can put you can just drag and drop images in. You can share screenshots, pictures, links to videos. It's live. It's interactive.
Disk image.
And if you're a programmer and you want to like show a quick snippet of a program, there's a way you can format it so it's like it's all evenly spaced, and it's a perfect resource for a tech oriented community to chat. I check it almost as often as like my Facebook or my email. To see what's going on. So
and I have it on my phone. I'm addicted. I'm more addicted to probably Discord. I check Discord more frequently throughout the day than I do Facebook. You know.
Yep, I do too.
And you don't have to deal with politics.
Oh, really? When did that start?
Yeah, that's new if that's happening.
Oh, and here's the funny thing regarding Discord. Stevie and I started it just because the fact that we were using it for games back then, because it actually was designed for gamers. So that's
right.
And it's it uses very little resources compared to Skype and other programs of that caliber, and it's just
right. It's a great way to have and we're also able to live stream to it. So when we've been playing some of these games, I was actually live streaming my game, and people were watching me and talking to me and helping me real time while I was playing the game. So that's a new feature they added too, where you can actually live stream straight to Discord with like near zero latency.
Yeah, I like the fact that in Discord too, if you're not actually on it, you can go. If you need to get somebody to get in touch with somebody, you tag them or something, or send them a message, and it'll send you a pop-up alert. Because I don't have the Facebook Messenger app on my phone, so I don't get that. So I've got to go in manually with a browser and check everything. Whereas with Discord, if someone wants to get in touch with me and I'm online and I'm not using Discord, I'll get a little pop-up on my phone and go, oh yeah, you know, Stevie's there or Ron's there or something else, and you know, it's just so practical. It's good. It's useful.
Jason has a carload of bubble wrap.
I do. I will admit I have a bubble wrap problem.
Wow.
I can help you with that. I can help you with that problem. It's remember every time that you pop one of those bubbles, that the air in it comes from China, and it could contain coronavirus.
Oh, jeez!
Wow.
Somebody thought about that a while.
That's not what I was going to say, but okay. But in the spirit, going back to Discord, in the spirit of full disclosure, if anyone hasn't caught on to this already, that I do have to let you know that David Ladd is on Discord.
That's a warning, right?
Yes.
Why is that
very
such a problem?
much the same on Discord?
He's worse.
Actually,
He's
well,
worse.
David Ladd is the one that started the Tandy Color Computer Discord server.
That's right.
He's the
That's
head
also
admin.
where the Turn Signal Orchestra premiered.
Yeah,
There is a Grease Weasel channel.
Hey, in the live chat, Robert Murphy was mentioning he prefers IRC, but Discord is kind of like IRC. It's works the similar way. It's just it's more real time and it's permanent. It doesn't go anywhere. So discussions that were had years ago, you can still find them.
What's IRC stand for?
Internet Relay Chat.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's old school chat.
There is still an IRC
still a Coco group,
thing that Coco people are using. I never used it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually in that channel too. I've been there quite a while. It's on Freenode,
but the nice thing about Discord too is you don't even have to install the client if you don't want to. There is a browser-based client.
Yep.
You just go to
And there's
discordapp.com, I
apps for
think.
tablets,
Oh
phones.
yeah, mobile, yeah,
Yep.
Android, iOS.
Yeah, the multi-platform thing's really good.
So,
And it's all compartmentalized. So like if you're just interested in that moment in talking about basic programming or hardware or games, like you can really fine tune the subject, and it's really cool.
Well, back in the day, didn't we get news from there? I think they had like news services with.
Oh, but post the news things on there. You mean for CoCoTALK?
No, I'm talking about way back in when it first started.
Oh, are you talking about FidoNet back with the BBS?
Well, there was that, and then
Or
I
bit
thought
listserv Coco or that type of thing.
IRC was.
Talking about Usenet?
I don't know.
anyways, it's one of those online internet dial-up things.
One of them tings.
I believe some form of communication was involved. Uh-oh.
Is there a
Jason has entered the
Cylon
matrix. Discord works very well when you have bandwidth. You've had more than one Cylon in a voice chat before.
Yeah, but we've had that here too, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, I'm looking at Facebook right now. There's still 31 people watching the show, so that's very cool.
Sorry.
Despite the
I'm sorry.
the rough starts. Yeah.
How many of those people are on the show?
Yeah.
How many is still awake?
Yeah, we like hearing our own voices and seeing our own faces.
My wife only has
148. The third time's the charm.
my wife only has one hand on her hip. When it goes to two, then I have to get it off.
You've played with your little friends long enough.
Yeah.
So what is the game for next week? It's Draconian.
Draconian.
No, Super Finance 2.
Personal finance too.
Yeah.
No, scripts it. Tell us
This time it's personal.
Yeah, finance 2. This time it's personal.
Yeah.
Color file 2. File harder.
Yeah.
Honey, please.
Well, aren't you going to keep the game statistics on that program?
I suppose I could.
Not like a spreadsheet.
You could.
Yeah, you could.
Well,
yeah,
let's see. It's got a picture of a plus, so I guess it's hospital costs.
Super finance.
A car, a boat, and a house. So I can keep track of my mortgage.
Personal
and
finance too.
My boats.
You should keep track of how many rage quits Stevie has. That'd be a good.
Out Bram.
Stevie are illustrious.
Out of range.
Stevie's our illustrious leader. I see you're having problems. I'm out of here.
Coco 3 required.
Show, guys.
I'm here.
I'm afraid
I am
2 meg
just
is not
happy
enough.
that I was not responsible this time.
Yeah, you can't blame James.
2 megabyte Coco
After
required.
2 years, James is off the hook.
You missed James was nice earlier.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, anyone else have any acquisitions, or we can go into the closing credits and into the caboose wrap up?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, I thought this was the caboose. Sorry, I got here late.
Stevie, this isn't the caboose. This is the replay.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll be
okay.
back.
I thought we're still doing introductions.
And he wonders why I show up late a lot of the time.
Okay, Nick, thanks for being here. Next up, we got David Ladd. David, welcome.
Ah, no.
Again.
He can't still be enthusiastic, can he?
Oh yes, guys, how you doing? Are we ready to get this show moving? I'm so ready.
Yeah, it's
Next
only
up,
5 hours
Oh,
old.
welcome to
me
hell. Welcome
Next-
to hell.
Next,
30.
we have a small furry creature that tells us if winter's going to be around.
Worst Groundhog Day ever.
I think I just heard 32 simultaneous clicks.
All right. Now, next up,
babe, I got
we are
you.
going
All
to
those
have
people,
our
all those 31,
segment.
all those 31 people that are on Facebook are there waiting for the audio feed.
Yeah, exactly.
All righty.
All right.
And Rob,
We'll
let's
go-
move on to the caboose.
The Coco credits are rolling.
This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click the Patreon link at our website at CoCoTalk.live.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, 'cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
CoCoTALK would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholzer, Grant Leedy, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reichert, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Tom C., Rob Inman, Mark Bosley, Brian Joyce, Ken Reichert, David O'Connor, Brian Weasler, Terry Steggy, Nick Marotta, John Strong, and many more, especially to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and James Differendaffer for making my head explode. Please help support the Coco community by visiting some of its various contributors. A list of resources is available at imacoconut.com. That's IMACOCONUT.com. The CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore.
The CoCoTALK train wreck is over, and we welcome you to the last surviving car. Join us in Zoom for CoCoTALK Caboose, a recap of today's show. CoCoTALK Caboose starts now.
Okay, so no one says anything.
And your host for Coco Caboose, Nick Marotta.
What?
So this is for all the paid people? No?
Put him on the spot.
Wow, welcome to the caboose. I think we're over today. Welcome to the caboose. This is where we just kind of wrap up the show and hopefully say something that's entertaining.
Absolutely. Well, you're talking about Discord. So, did you finish your thoughts on why Discord is a great part of our, our media kit for the community?
If you're not doing it, do it. All the cool kids are doing it.
That's right.
It's a great resource. Speaking of discussing today's show and what happened on today's show, Lord Dragon's like, well, I got here late. I missed the beginning of the show. We're like, no, you didn't, right? No,
It just started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not one, but two technical glitches, and we do apologize, and I do want to thank the dedicated staff, unlike myself, who was not dedicated.
You have a lot
Gotta
of
go, guys.
hang-ons,
Yeah,
evidently.
yeah, I rage quit. After 2 strikes, I kind of rage quit. I was like, I can't handle this right now. But yeah,
so-
couple of technical glitches. But Rob Inman, thank you once again for a stellar streaming job and for your format tweaks.
That's right.
We have Klingons. They just hang and stay.
Absolutely.
That's
like
right.
dingleberries.
That's right. I'll just say, for me, I like to keep the stream running. I think I've only had to stop the show at the very first time I streamed because I didn't know what to fix. Now I'm able to fine-tune and tweak things in the background. And I think this day was particularly rough because the panel and the chat and everybody kind of stopped and pointed out all the auto difficulties in real time. But of course, it's not real time because I'm actually
fixing things, and they're a few seconds behind.
And they're a few seconds behind. And I also can monitor the YouTube audio myself. If you give me a GD moment, I will do that.
Gosh darned.
A gosh darn moment. And and also, Stevie's, in the best sense of the word, is my boss, so it's a little bit more pressure from that perspective. And I know from your perspective, Stevie,
former boss, you're fired.
Well, you'll never find me. I'm hiding up here in the booth. You're gonna have to HR try to locate me, but. I would have kept the show running, and maybe my mistake is I went to Stevie first for the intro.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
I probably could have killed. I could
just lock the door in the booth.
Yeah. I think what we should do too, because it's always seems to be almost last minute before we go live. We're tweaking things up the last minute. We need to just do a test.
Yep.
Maybe the night before or an hour before, and work all that stuff out.
Because I had new audio things I was fixing and changing.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear. Sorry, James.
I said, Stevie, I think we've said that before.
Yeah. Well, James, we got the message. I mean, I will tell you, no audio problems are acceptable, and the audio should work from the beginning of the show. And I take full responsibility for that. But we will have some testing, and perhaps even on a Friday night, when we do our production review. But if an audio glitch happens, I would appreciate from everyone in the panel to just continue talking, which is
and
what
just
happened.
Work through it. Just work through it. So what you're saying is next time it happens, we'll just try to work through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's what I would prefer. And
yeah.
I will tell you if I don't know how to fix it, and then we could stop the stream. But generally speaking, I know how to kind of fix the levels.
Fair enough.
And I do have some questions when we meet, offline, when I get my performance review.
This is going to affect your increase for the year, or decrease. So.
I do believe my pay is going to be cut.
Yeah. So.
Well, at least he told you on the show instead of in an email.
He's going to be impeached.
That's right. I don't want to be fired over email.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for Nick for taking the ball, because I was in a full-on panic attack at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Wayne Campbell brought up a good point in our little disclaimer. He goes, just remember, Steve, you said at the beginning that anything can and will happen, and today it did.
Yeah.
And in the worst possible way.
Yeah. But it was great when Nick took over, because he wasn't feeling that stress level, so he could actually, have a conversation with people.
Yeah. Sometimes I know when I reach a certain frustration level, I literally have to walk away, and that's what I had to do. I had to walk away. So nobody's fault. It's just my own.
So I was going to say, there's nothing worse than when you're trying to do something like that, and you've got all this technical stuff in the background holding you back. I'm the same thing with music. If I'm working on a new track and a new song or something for a new album or something, and I get tech difficulties in the studio. It's, nothing kills the inspiration more than something like that. And it's like, oh, I don't even want to write a song now.
Yeah, that was kind of it for me. It's like the fun balloon got popped.
Well,
and
that's
so
that hit me too, because when we started the second time with Stevie hosting, and he threw it back to me, and I was like, no, wait a minute, I'm not in any.
I'm glad you guys aren't airline pilots and give up like that in the middle of flight.
I'm grabbing my parachute and jumping off this plane. You guys fly it yourselves.
I can't fly this no more. Bye.
It's too damn uncomfortable.
Landing
I'm
gear
outta
ain't
here.
working.
Yeah.
I'm jumping out. See ya.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the event of a water landing.
Just think of this. Guest host Nick Marotta. Calm, cool, Canadian.
That's right. That's
Hi,
right.
Mickey.
Now,
Triple C. Puppy.
So I think Nick
Mickey.
Marotta and I made a good team. So thanks, Nick, and I mostly held it down back on the booth.
Yeah, because I was able to ask you questions in the background to say, what the hell are we doing? So it was good.
Yeah.
That's what's
Hello,
great about
Mickey.
you guys. We really are. We are mostly a team. With the exception of one of us here, almost all
David
of us
Lang.
are a tight-knit team.
That one person will find out in the
Tell us
paycheck.
which one, right?
Yeah.
Nick,
I won't mention my any name.
Is that a game called roulette?
Yes. Robert Murphy says, from the bleachers, despite the rough start, everything here was fun and cool. Live always has its surprises. And he says, fly CoCoTALK Airways. The train wreck of the skies.
Hey, Marco. Marco, you'll appreciate what just popped into my head.
Okay.
From Monty Python, I'm paraphrasing. When danger reared its ugly head, Stevie bravely turned his tail and fled.
Brave Sir Roberts. Brave Sir Roberts.
Brave Sir Robin.
Brave Sir Stevie.
You know, I'm teasing you, Stevie.
No, but it's true. It's funny, but true.
No, you were angry. You weren't scared. You were just pissed off.
No, it was probably better because I was obviously upset for letting Stevie down because it's his show, and
No, you didn't let me down. It's just life happens. Things happen.
Yeah, but from a stress level, it's probably better that you left because like my head got clear and I was able to focus.
No, it ended up being
You
good.
didn't have me breathing fire down your neck. You could do your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good times.
All right.
Good times.
I'm out of here. See you all
right,
next
so
time.
we're gonna possibly do a late night draconian session tonight.
Right, Nick.
Oh, we certainly could, Stevie.
See you later, Nick. Have a good week.
Hey, see you later.
Good night. Oi, oi, oi.
Bye.
Hashtag Stevie food coma.
Yeah, well, my wife has already told me she's not cooking me dinner, so I'm not sure I'm gonna get it.
Ooh, what did you do wrong?
It's a microwave night.
Yeah.
She was watching
And for
CoCoTALK and she
yourself.
was really annoyed that you didn't stay.
And the new type computer.
Oh, yes. Let's get printing.
Yeah, I like Draconian. I think I'll have fun playing it, but I don't know that I could play Draconian every day. Like, here's the thing: like Donkey King was so fun to play. Also, because there's so many different levels to it. You know, you got the 4 screens. You got to cycle through screens to see it. You know, it's a challenge just to get to the elevators. It's a challenge to get to the pie factory. You know, so you feel like you want to keep pushing yourself to get through all those screens. But
Right.
some of these games where you literally keep doing the same thing over and over again, I don't know that I could play them 100 times in a week. You know, we'll have to wait and see. But sometimes you're surprised too. Like I didn't think I would enjoy Ladybug, but I did. So I like Draconian. I'm gonna play it, but I'm not sure how much I'll be able to play it. But we'll find out, won't we?
You mean Doodle Bug?
Doodle Bug, yeah, Doodle Bug was fun. What did I say?
Said Ladybug.
Oh, Ladybug. Yeah, whatever. Same difference. Right.
Doodle Bug, worst graphics program ever.
Yeah, worst graphics program
That was
ever. That was great.
awesome.
Yeah, that Ken Reichert. He's a witty feller.
We're still on
Draconian
air.
attitude. Yeah.
Yes, we're still on the air.
We're still flying.
Did you guys talk about CoCoTALK? I mean, CoCoFEST. Did you talk about
Yes.
CoCoFEST?
First hour, yes.
Okay. And we talked about tables. There's still tables available.
I don't know if that was mentioned, but
there's still
We asked about who had tables and what people were going to be.
Yeah, there's still, it looks like
showing.
there's about maybe a half
15?
dozen tables left out of around 40. So there's not a lot of tables left, but there still are some tables left.
Act now.
Act now while supplies last.
Quantities are limited.
So what did somebody say we were not doing a reasonable job in reminding people about CoCoFEST every week?
I
or-
did.
You did. Mark
Yeah,
Overholzer.
that's
Shame on
been
you.
lackly unmentioned.
Lackily unmentioned. Oh, by the way, you guys, you know, there's this thing called CoCoFEST, and I think that happens about once a year. People get together, talk about the cocoa, you know.
This whole show is about CoCoFEST. That's why I get started.
Yeah.
Our what is it? 4-year anniversary is coming up here. 3rd-year anniversary. We almost got
In March, what, March 27th?
March 19th was
March
our
19th.
first show.
Wow.
So we're almost
hard to
3
believe
years
it's
in
been
camp.
that long.
The
Yep.
fest is in April or is it in March?
Yeah, it's in April this year.
It's in April. Okay. Because I would like to really make an effort to actually go to my first CoCoFEST. So
You're talking about,
That
thinking
would
this
be
year?
nice.
yeah, this year, hopefully.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always wanted to, to go to a fest like that.
Yeah, I reserved like 4 tables. I don't think we're going to need more than 2. So I know I'm going to have a couple of extra tables. So if somebody shows up late that they weren't sure they're going to make it, and at the last minute they can make it, there'll be at least 1 or 2 tables
How
available.
much do the hotels that you guys usually stay at cost?
If you stay at that hotel, it's roughly $100 a night. There's a rate. There's the Glenside rate. I think it's with taxes. It's like $113 or something like that.
I'm staying somewhere that's about $60 a night with all taxes included.
Yeah. So the convenience there is you're right there, and then there's the lobby. You hang out in the lobby till God knows when.
Sounds like he's that Trivago guy.
Get stuck in the elevator.
Get stuck
Oh,
in. There's
don't
no
worry,
elevator.
there won't be
Hotel
an elevator
Trivago.
this time.
Yeah.
Does that other hotel have a coin receptacle for the bed?
Yeah, it looks like there's still 15 tables available
15 tables. So that's significant.
out of 62.
Well, it's
Okay.
a
I mean,
bigger
that's
venue,
that's
isn't
good.
it?
It's a bigger venue. Yeah.
It is. It is.
And the venue's a Holiday Inn, so if you've got points, that works too.
Ah, nice. Now,
Man, it was 40 years this year. For the
yeah,
Coco one.
that's the thing. Like, I missed the Glenside meeting, but I'm wondering what emphasis on the Coco's 40th anniversary is going to take place this year thematically. Is there going to be a theme? Is there going to be decorations? Will there be balloons? Will there be a cake? Well, David, jump out of the cake.
Steve, you know that computer you were going to give away? Is it a Coco 1?
It is a Coco 2.
You should. Oh, okay. I was going to say if it was a Coco 1, you should make it gold or something, and then that would be something to sell.
that
at
would be
the,
really neat. Yeah,
auction because of the anniversary Coco.
Yeah. That one's got some type of hardware issue that needs to be looked at, probably RAM, and the one I bought's got like a RAM issue too. So I've got Cocos that we'll find homes for, but they're going to need a little TLC before they're
ready to go
in ship shape. Yeah.
Yeah, when I stop and actually think about it, 40 years.
It's insane.
40
Yeah.
years since we actually started playing around with our Cocos, and it's like, wow, it's 4 decades.
It's like when we were speaking to Reverend Fuzzy, the guy who made those videos, there's no way he could have imagined. There's no way any of us could imagine in 1980, 81, that 40 years later, people would still be celebrating this computer.
No.
There's no way, I mean,
amazing.
even though this was new and exciting technology, even then you saw on the horizon there was a bigger, better thing right around the corner, and we were really excited for the next big thing. And once the next big thing came out, yesterday's thing was really not even in our consciousness anymore. Like when the Tandy 1000 came out, I forgot all about the Coco. I was blown away by that. Wow, 80 columns, 16 colors, 3 voice music, all kinds of cool games, DOS, BBS, all these things. It was like I forgot the Coco existed for 35 years since then, because I've been using some form of PC. So
I'll tell you what's cool is setting up your computer in like 2002 and then thinking, now let's see, LOADM.
It's weird though. It's like riding a bike. I never forgot LOADM and CLOADM and
It's funny.
load.
Yeah. You know, the high-speed poke on the
Yeah.
Coco 3, like
Yeah.
I learned it as like in not the hex value, but the actual decimal. And like it had been like 15 years since I typed that command, but my fingers start typing POKE 6, and I don't even know where the numbers came from, but my fingers knew which ones to do.
It's like dialing a phone. What's your phone number? I don't know. Oh, but if I do this in the air, I can dial it, right? So it's the same thing. It's like muscle memory, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole, even like the whole, even programming, you know, like remembering all the memory addresses and you know the commands. When I was writing my my step sequencer program for the first song on the Coco music album, that's the first time I'd actually gotten into programming in BASIC in what 35 odd years, and I got in there and I'm typing away, and before long I had a working program that was interacting with hardware and controlling the synthesizers, and it's like, this is really cool. And because the memory was still there, and the excitement of getting it working was still there, and the debugging, and oh, why is it not doing this, and oh yeah, I can do that, and it'll fix this problem, and it's all that excitement from back then in the first days of actually getting into programming. It was right there again, right in front of me, and it's like, this is so cool.
This is weird, but one time I read or saw this thing about a guy that got shot in the head, and it was in the early morning after he'd gotten up, and he went and got the newspaper from the front of the house, and he went and made a breakfast sandwich or something and ate it, and then he like died at the kitchen table or whatever.
Like he was still running on reflex.
Yeah, and it was a different part of the brain that does all the stuff that you do every day, you know,
Yeah.
and just automatically do without thinking, because most of his brain, I guess, was gone.
Wow.
But cortex or whatever, the main area, did all the other stuff for him, because I guess there was blood all the way out to the.
Holy crap! He just left a trail around the house
Yeah.
as he's walking around bleeding
Oh
out,
my
huh?
God, that's
Wow.
gruesome.
Isn't that something?
Yeah,
I
thanks
think a
for
lot-
really bringing things up for us there, Ron.
just think of
Just talking
you don't
about it,
need
yeah,
your
how it all
brain
comes.
to use a Coco.
Yeah, you don't. You could be shot in the head and still code. So,
Probably write a better program.
some of the programs I played, I want to shoot the guy who made them. So
I've noticed my Coco's a little red now.
You should call it riding hood.
So easy can be any. It's so easy. If someone with a gunshot wound can do it. So. Deck B.
Yeah. This guy's using dial-up again.
They didn't deck B, they decked him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. Like I remember, because I went to college and like I had PCs and that just was my thing. But I still, once in a while, I'd get the Coco out of storage and boot it up and maybe load an old program and get nostalgic. But that's sort of where it would end. And you know, because there was really, I think the community is the difference for now.
Yeah, for sure.
Once I got back into programming and I found you guys and the Facebook group and then Discord, it's like now I have someone to share that nostalgia with and have a participation. And
You're gonna stop making mittens at night watching TV.
I know, I'm getting old, guys.
Says the oldest guy in the panel.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually went to my school, my college, Providence College, yesterday to get my transcript, and I went to the cafeteria because guests can eat there too. And the woman said, "Yeah, you can eat here for free. If you have your son or your daughter with you." And I'm like, "Whoa, this is different." Like last time I was here, like hey, this is the student eating.
Yeah.
Now it's like, "Oh, where's your kids that are going to this school?" I'm like, "Oh, I got old."
It happens. Happens to everybody except David Ladd.
He's immortal. He's a vampire.
Yes.
Oh, but Stevie, you haven't fed me lately.
Don't underestimate the power of the grease weasel.
That must be why we only just get his profile picture on Zoom, because that way we can't see that he's not aging. So,
Yeah.
hides it.
So hopefully you'll be there, Lord Dragon.
At the fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I just got to figure out saving some money for the trip and the logistics of it. I might be able to convince a friend to come with me, But
Where do you live?
I'm in Rhode Island.
Oh.
Yep.
It's neither a road nor an island.
Nope.
Discuss.
And it's definitely not Long Island.
No.
It's the size of Maricopa County, I think.
Rob Inman, you going to be there?
Yes, sir. In fact, I have, not only will I be there, but I have a song parody written specifically about people like Lord Dragon who have never been there before.
Oh, first timers, huh?
What I found is that I'm no Bruce Moore when it comes to vocal chops. So
few of us are.
So I think what I'm going to do is send my 2 song parodies, one of which involves first timers at CoCoFEST, to Bruce Moore and see if he can
yes.
add the
See if he can-
vocals.
see if he can Bruce them up for you.
Exactly.
Hey, Lord Dragon, reason the CoCoFest runs 3 days is because when you first go to your first one, you get the tattoo, and then by the third day, it doesn't hurt anymore.
Okay, so I didn't realize how much of a commitment this event might be.
Mark D. Overholzer, you will be there, correct?
Yes, definitely.
And your lovely girlfriend Tina, or
Tina. Yep.
Is it girlfriend or fiance?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Your significant other.
Yep.
Are we all invited?
To the
Sure.
wedding?
It's a Coco wedding.
October
It's a Coco wedding.
Sure. I'll send you details.
All right. Mark Bosley, you'll be making your first attendance. All right.
Yep.
Mark Bosley will be there. Jason, the Coco
all
man. will
booked
be
and
there.
ready.
Yeah, both the Reichert brothers will be there, right?
Absolutely. Can make it.
He can.
Ken will make it.
He will.
We know David Ladd will be there. So David Ladd's worth the price of admission as it is. Matter of fact, we don't if because I'm not sure they've secured a keynote speaker yet, so we could have David Ladd talk about Grease Wheel, PTL, DriveWire, RS-232, floppy.
So should everybody bring their bad floppies to the show?
He will get the flux out of there. Yes. So.
I'll plug you.
You got a bad floppy? Get the flux out of here.
You mother clucker.
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
Shut that front door. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm
Okay.
going to go check on family obligations here. At
Yeah,
the,
and my
home
wife
front.
has both hands on the hip.
Uh-oh, that's the sign. That's the sign.
All right. Well, my
Let's go
brother's
live
also
today.
teaching, so I'm out of here as well.
Thank you, Rob and Nick and Curtis and everybody for keeping the flame alive today, keeping the show going. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks everybody in the live chat. I'd like to thank my parents for conceiving me. I'd like to thank God,
we're
without
going
which nothing
on and
would be
on for another
possible.
hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Night, everybody.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, you two cats. Oh yeah.
I guess
Oh,
we'll
bye.
hit the button on the caboose is loose.
Push the button, Frank.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts from Lord Dragon, who's a special guest.
Oh, all right. Just thanks for showing my program and
Thanks for making it.
in the community. Yeah,
Yes.
no, I love all these suggestions about things I could add for detection and even expanding it for diagnostics. That's a cool idea.
Now, let me ask you: does your program detect farts? Because
Not without additional hardware.
all right.
No, I don't.
We
I'm
had
not
a
yet.
recent program that did that.
We showed a project off last week. Somebody rigged up a smoke detector to a Coco
Oh.
to
Methane detector.
yeah
I
methane
did
detector.
think about hooking it to my solar power system last year, but it didn't
Oh, you're
happen.
running solar power as well, are you?
Yeah, I did with the old place I lived because I actually had like a yard that I could put stuff in, but where I'm at now is kind of an apartment building, so that kind of hobby is on hold for the moment, but it was like tons of fun. I had like the whole system. But,
Yeah, I'm running my entire studio and home and everything and all my Cocos off solar panels.
yeah, I actually have a video where I run my Coco 3 off of 100% solar power. It's pretty cool.
I think I've seen that video.
Yeah, it was fun. It's
You posted on Facebook, I think. It
just
was great.
because I could, So when the zombie apocalypse happens, I'll be able to still, code on my Coco 3. That's priority.
Yeah, same here.
Priority.
Same here. We had a cyclone in 2016, and it knocked out the power to the whole state. the entire state. And my lights were on, and I was still doing stuff, and I was running on batteries for the whole time. And I'm sure people were walking past. How is his light still on? What's going on here?
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Last words, David O'Connor.
I think I just did.
That's-
No, look, I'm really encouraged by the discussion about Discord too. So let's all head over to. I'm going to spend a bit more time in Discord myself. Head
Don't
over
be
there
sh-
and talk projects.
Yeah, there's a MIDI channel there.
Yeah. Don't be shy. Come over to Discord. Mark B. Did you already give your last words, or you're good? What do you have for us?
Good. I got a question for Jason though.
We ran out of time.
42.
42.
What's your
The
question?
answer to life, the universe, and everything.
I was going to ask if you were the one that had the power switches for Coco ones.
I am not. I think it's a different one than the 2 and the 3 uses. They're out there. I just don't. I don't know the specifics.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
Sarah's body wrapped in bubble wrap in the backseat.
No, it's just
Maybe
perfectly
she's-
empty bubble wrap.
Okay.
Maybe she really likes bubble wrap a lot.
I think Jim Brain might have posted a link one time to the Switch, but I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah. I've got a D board that needs a switch.
I don't
I'm
deep
pretty
dive, but
sure
I'd be
like
bored.
that some of the usual suspects of electronic suppliers have it, like DigiKey or one of those.
Yeah, so something.
Okay. I'll look closer. I mean, it's only a 3-inch catalog they have.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Brain knows or some of the other folks in the community know what you need.
Yeah, speaking of Discord, you could throw out the question there.
There you go. Exactly. That's a great
Okay.
place for that question.
And before we let you go, Jason, where are you off to? Where are you driving to with Sarah's body?
Oh, there's no Sarah's body here. First of all, I am going to go have dinner with some friends in beautiful Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Nice beaver.
Are you sure? Because it looks like you're getting arrested or something.
It's the brake lights in front of
This
them.
just in.
Yes.
Well, have a great.
Well, it's pretty much dark here now, so yes, it's the bright lights in front of me. Yes.
Yes, well, have a good time at dinner, and let us know if you need any help with.
There you go. If you need any help with your digestion or bowel release or anything else.
Absolutely. Nick Marotta.
I think I'm
We're
good.
burying a body.
Just remember, Nick Marotta, calm, cool, Canadian.
That's right.
Cool Canadian.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Nick Marotta for Prime Minister.
That's
All
right.
right. Thanks, Al Hartman. I'll check with Richard.
That's right. Nick, you're excited about Draconian?
I am. I like that game. I don't know if I'll play it as much as Donkey King either, but it's definitely one of the more unique games for the Coco, even though it's
Yeah.
based on an arcade game. But it's definitely a unique spin on
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
that's why I thought it'd be a good pick.
Yeah. So my free advice is make sure you pick up as many of those spacemen as possible because they're all extra points. You know, when you bust out the.
That's an amazing tip.
Yeah.
Maybe avoid getting shot too. Would that be
Yeah.
another
Don't die.
amazing tip?
Shoot the bad guys. Avoid all obstacles.
Mark O, do you or your cats have any last words, last meows?
I don't know. Mini me, do you have anything to say?
Meow.
Nope. I'm looking forward to CoCoFEST. Gonna be there.
Great. And Stevie Stroh, will I be waking up with a horse head in my bed?
No. My
No.
my parting thoughts are when the going gets tough, rage quit.
Well, that's a given.
Well, let's talk about who was in the live chat because they didn't rage quit.
No,
Jeremy
they did not.
Laundry in the live chat. Mark Overholzer, Nimble, Dave and Sharon.
Oh, come on
Sharon.
down. Come on down. You're the next contestant.
And we had Robert Murphy. We had
Robert
Nimble-
Murphy's the same guy who does all the 3D printing stuff, right?
I think so.
I think so.
And we had so much Nick Marotta. More,
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a little too much.
maybe a little too much.
Maybe.
No, but
I'm gonna go.
Nick Marotta's kind of like garlic. There's no such thing as too much garlic. no such thing as too much Nick Marotta.
That's
so.
true. Yeah, I can't get enough of it. A lot of Robert Murphy. D. Bruce Moore was in the live chat. Wayne Campbell.
The Bruce.
D.
Yeah, Bruce is loose.
The Bruce was loose, and Curtis Boyle, and Can Make It. He says anything can happen on CoCoTALK 3 times. I think he was talking about the beginning. Speak for yourself. Okay, David Lord, another Lord.
David Lord.
We have many lords. Al
Name
Hartman.
David.
Many lords.
Al Hartman from Jersey, and thanks everyone. And we will let you go and hit the button. Peace. We're out of here.